Our content tonight is designed and delivered by Paul, PDeltaBravo, with a cameo appearance by the career mode master, Oz Nomad. I am your host, Howard Forder, of the Twitch channel, ForderLearnToFly. Welcome. Let's tune in.
Career mode had a lot of problems initially, and there were a lot of people who had kind of given up on it. So that may have been a problem, but it certainly has improved dramatically in the last little bit. That's for sure.
Right, and I was going to mention that too. I'm glad you've said that. I've noticed a big change. And today, my small part today is just to add in the helicopter part, you guys. I want to go back to the Cabri and take a look at that. You would not believe how well it handles like it's supposed to now. That used to be almost unmanageable. So I'm going to touch on helicopters, not the big part of today's presentation, but I want to make sure you guys understand that. I'm going to, in a week or two, focus on a deep dive into helicopters, both in free flight and career mode. So that's going to be a focus on helicopters only. So tonight I don't have to do a lot of focus on that, just to mention and a few things on it. So without any further ado, Paul, I think we should just get right into it and just move right over into it. And let's get into career mode, you guys.
I've been working on career mode pretty much ever since 2024 first came out, and making some decent progress. I know there are others who are way farther ahead than I am, but at one point I was thinking, I've learned recently a whole bunch of little tips and techniques that I think might be helpful. Perfect. So if we take a look at what career mode looks like, this is what my screen looks like at this point. You can see up here, and actually this is a slightly old screen. I'm up to about $47 million now. I have a company with 9 aircraft, or three or four companies with 9 aircraft, 14 specializations unlocked, and 12 certifications. So we'll talk about what those all are. But this is really designed to go right from beginner. I'm going to teach the basics of how to get started for those of you who have not started at all. Right, but it's not just for beginners. So we will be touching on some tips and techniques for even people who are getting into it and are having some success, but want a few little pointers to get even further. So we'll definitely go through that. One of the things I would love to make this as interactive as possible, and I realize time constraints and everything don't make that easy. But one thing I am interested on a scale of 1 to 10, if you could just type in on chat where you believe you're at, with 1 being, let's say 0 is I haven't even started career mode, I haven't touched it. 5 would be, yeah, I've kind of dabbled in it and maybe have 1 airplane and 1 company. And 10 is I'm really experienced and I've got dozens of planes. So if you could let me know where people are at in that. Surly, I appreciate your detail there. That's awesome. Okay. Getting a few in here. Ace of spades is a 3, I presume that is. Okay, so we have some that are getting up there. Oz, you're probably way ahead of me. I would classify myself between a 6 and a 7. So in Surly's nomenclature, I would say a 6.38, 69243. And okay, so we've got a bunch of people who are probably pretty close to me, but still going to get some stuff out of this probably, and others who are much newer, so that's good to know. All right, so let's start. And one of the things I wanted to do for those of you who haven't really gotten into it is just to give you an opportunity to try some things out as we go through. And so we'll hit that in the next little bit. But what I wanted to cover is, first of all, where I'm at and how I got there. Real briefly on that. Set some expectations, because I'm seeing stuff in chat or in in blogs and stuff all the time that say, gee, I thought this was going to be able to do this and that and the other thing, and it can't. So I just want to set some expectations there based on what I've seen. Then talk about getting started, and we'll let Howard take you through getting started in helicopter mode, and then okay, good to know, Ace. Okay, you weren't far off with the 3 though. Talk about getting started in helicopter mode, which Howard will take you through, and then I will go into the fixed wing piece. And then once you get started, how you progress and really can start making some significant moves up. And so we'll take you through how to do that. And then ultimately how to get where I'm at today, which, as I say, is not the ultimate by any stretch, but it is, it just happens to be where I am. So we take a look at my journey. This is, and I'll show this screen when we go actually into the simulator, but this is a map basically of how you can progress in career mode. And you can see it's very extensive. And this is not something that, you know, if I want to start up at a heavy airliner and start flying that, you're not going to get there in a day. You've got to go through all of these pieces. And so those are, I'm going to take you through the path that you can take. I happen to have done practically everything except scoop endorsement, and the heavy airliner isn't even available yet. I've done everything on the fixed wing other than the scoop endorsement, though. You don't need to do all of them in order to make some progress, and we'll talk about setting a goal and deciding where you want to be. But you can see this is the path that I've taken, and it's pretty extensive. And it's a lot of fun. And there's reasons for doing some things, like really ultimately what I needed to do to fly the kind of flights that I wanted to do was probably in this range here, about the 3rd level up. But there were reasons that I wanted to get to this 4th and 5th level. And we'll talk about why you would want to do that. So that's basically where I am at this point. Setting expectations. You can't become an airline captain overnight. If you want to fly the big planes right off the bat, you're best just to stick with free flight mode and enjoy that for what it is. But if you actually want to go through the process, not exactly like a real pilot would do, but certainly touching on a lot of the points that real pilots have to go through, then career mode is a great way to do that. There's a fair number of cheats that people talk about doing, and I'll touch on which of them are really the 2 cheats that you can get away with. Pretty much anything else that you try to do, yeah, you can do it to make a flight a lot quicker or whatever, but you're going to cheat yourself out of things as you go through that. So I'm going to show you the 2 cheats that you can play with that aren't going to hurt you in any way, shape, or form, and are going to give you a bit of an advantage. But the rest of them, I'll talk about some of the cheats that you want to avoid. It is going to take some time, and this is the thing. I mean, I've been working on this. I mean, 2024 has been out for over a year now. I have been in career mode probably for about a year, and I am where I am based on just slogging through. And I don't have a lot of time. I mean, Howard will tell you, as a retired guy, I'm busier than I was when I was working full time. So I don't always have a lot of time. I can go weeks with not spending more than a couple of minutes on the flight simulator. And so I'll talk about how you can, even with a minimal amount of time, how you can poke away at some of the missions that are relatively short and still make some decent money. Because ultimately you are going to need some money if you want to get anywhere. And the reality is, as much as so many of the bugs have been fixed. I mean, there was one time I spawned in, as what I said, start your mission. You click on start your mission, and you end up with the plane perched on the roof of a hangar with its nose buried under the roof, and there's just nothing you can do about that. In fact, what I tried to skip, I thought, okay, well, normally you don't skip much, but I got to skip because I can't do anything with what it is. So I clicked on skip, and as soon as I hit skip, it said, oh, you've crashed, because I crashed into the hangar. So that was really bad, and there was all kinds of things like that that happened. There are still bugs. One of the nice things one of the bugs that does occasionally happen is be flying along, and all of a sudden says, oh, there's a technical issue. We've had to abort your mission. But now at least they give you credit for the number of hours you were flying and prorate the total award for that mission. So things like that they've made improvements on, and there's far fewer bugs. But every once in a while, yeah, you're going to run into stuff. And I keep saying I would challenge anybody to try to write a program like Flight Simulator and not have it with a lot of bugs in it. So I think they've done a pretty good job here. So getting started, the first thing you have to do is take a look at the path that you're going to take on this journey and decide, where do I want to go? And so what I would do, in fact, let me just bop out of here, and I'm going to go into mine. So we'll talk about the certifications. If I double click on that, I can see here's where my certifications are. You're going to start, no matter what direction you're going, you're going to start with the private pilot license. So that's the first thing you have to get, and we'll talk about how you're going to get that. And then at that point, you're going to make a choice. Am I going to focus on the helicopter side, or am I going to focus on fixed wing? Or you may want to do both, and that's fine. In my case, I wanted to start over here. And I said, okay, and ultimately, I know that I need to get my commercial pilot license. You cannot make any money in this game without your commercial pilot license. So that's the first thing you're going to have to do, either as a helicopter pilot or as a airplane pilot. And so you start there, and then you start figuring out, and we'll take a look at the specializations that will help you decide which of these ratings you need to get in order to progress in the game. I call it a game simulation. I mean, it's not really a great simulation of being an actual pilot, but it's better, and it's certainly not purely a game. The specializations are where you're going to see exactly what you need to do anything in this simulation, in this game. So the first thing you're going to do is this first flight. And you'll see under here, you've got prerequisites. There's only two things you need. You need a level 1, which everybody has when they start, and you need your private pilot license. So you don't even need your commercial license to be able to do first flights. And so that's where you're going to start. But now you're going to take a look and say, okay, which of these things am I most interested in? Am I interested in ferrying planes around? And if I click on that, you see I need a level 3, and I need my commercial pilot license. Do I want to do flight sim? Do I want to take people up and take them around to various waypoints and show them the sights? If I want to do that, I need a level 5 and just a commercial pilot license. Do I want to take skydivers up? This one, I'd be leery of this one. The challenge with skydiving is that you've got to fly your Cessna up to about 10 to 12,000 feet, and that takes forever to get up that high. So I've avoided this one. It's kind of cool though. You get a bunch of skydivers on, you fly a path up to their skydiving drop-off point, and then they jump out of the plane, and you can actually see them jump out of the plane, and it's pretty cool. And you can see here the prerequisites. Now we're up to a level 8. We need a commercial pilot license. We also need any airplane mission with a C or above rating, and we'll talk about that. And you've got to be able to land reasonably smoothly. So those are some prerequisites. So you've got to have check marks in all of those before you can get into this as a company, and so on. So basically, you could go through all of these, and as you can see, I've managed to progress through most of them. We've got cargo transport at various levels, light, medium, and heavy. We've got our aerial advertising is kind of cool. That's where you snag a banner and pull it, tow it behind you and fly along the coast somewhere. Charter services, private. Search and rescue. If you're really interested in doing some search and rescue stuff, you can go into that. I haven't done any firefighting at this point. I'm qualified for the medevac, but I haven't done anything with it. Charter service VIP, we'll talk about why you want to get there, because that's where some really good money starts to come in.
As in real life, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go for the big business charter flights, you make some money.
Absolutely. Although I must admit, I sometimes wonder when I take a look at some of these missions, like they're paying $5, $6, $7 million, and I don't know anybody's going to charter a flight for 5 hours and pay $7 million, but right. It does in this game.
But they're transporting gold with them. It's in gold in their briefcase.
Exactly. Yeah. So as you can see, I've done pretty much all of them except for these two. Super heavy cargo transport I can't do because I need the heavy airliner rating, which you can't even get. It's not unlocked yet. So that one I can't do. Aerial firefighting I could do. Haven't done the scoop endorsement, but I could do that fairly easily, and we'll talk about those.
That's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, Paul.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the one thing. I mean, the one thing I do a lot of is mostly light cargo missions.
Right. Me too.
And they're easy, right? I take off, I do all the takeoff procedures, I put it in autopilot, I let the thing fly itself for an hour and a half, and then I land. And for me, landing is kind of the cool thing. And then I can make a bunch of money, and we'll talk about other ways that money comes in when you do that. But yeah, if you want actual goals where you're forced to do things that are cool, then certainly some of those other ones would be a good way to do it for sure. So at this point, any questions about that portion so far?
Well, let me just comment, because I do all of that except airliner also, and I've got all the qualifications. So in the parachute, sending the skydivers out, the PC6 is the best one for that, and you can do a beta dive afterwards and get back to the airport before they land. So that's like in real life, right? So yeah. The 172 definitely is a challenge because it has to climb to 10,000 feet as quickly as possible. But once you move into other planes like the PC6, then that's a doable trade. That's a doable pastime. Okay. It's a lot of fun. And the animation they have of the jumpers actually getting ready and actually jumping out. And if you look down from your plane, you'll see them actually hitting down to the ground. It's a cool thing. And that's what's nice about career mode, is you're doing something other than normal free flight stuff.
A to B.
And free flight stuff, a lot of people, Paul, are getting up in the air in free flight and they're going, now what? I got the plane in the air. Okay, I'll go land. And it's like in real life too. If that's all we did, if we just got it in the air and said, now what do we do? If we had no real reason to be up in the air, I can see why people eventually get bored, right? So career mode has really sparked a lot of people to challenge them to do something other than just get up in the air. You need all the skills to do the flying, but now you get to have a purpose. And I think that's part of what the draw is here, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I've always found. I mean, even in 2020, there was something called NeoFly. And I used to go into that, and it's got some similar capabilities to career mode, and it was cool to fly those missions in NeoFly. So yeah, it's no question for me anyway. I mean, I used to fly bush trips all the time. All the bush trips that came out in 2020, I used to fly all of them, and I loved that, having a goal, a mission to accomplish. It was great. When that disappeared, career mode was a good replacement for it. So I'm going to pass it over to Howard now to take us through some of the helicopter stuff.
All right.
If there aren't any, sorry, I'm just taking a look. Can you make it in the time limit if you skip the climb? You can make it in the time limit, but you're gonna lose a lot of revenue, a lot of points if you skip the climb. Mardak, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Meyer, Flyer, the banner missions are fun. Yeah, yeah, picking up the banner it takes a fair bit of skills. You got to be flying at the right speed and the right altitude. You got to figure out how to deploy the hook and then snag the banner and then let it go when you drop it off. So you're absolutely right. And Matt Lynn, increasing the sim rate is one of those cheats that I'm going to say don't do. And there's a whole ton of reasons for not doing it. So yeah, you can do it. And if all you want to do is take off and land and you're not worried about the money, sure, go for that. But I'll talk about why you don't want to increase the sim rate. So over to Howard, and he's going to take us through the helicopter side.
All righty. I do want, on that topic about the banner, by the way, there's more to it than just picking it up and dropping off the banner. There's a proper way to do it. And it's like in real life. They're actually holding it in a target zone that you have to approach properly, pull up properly, and hook the thing. And then you have to get to a certain altitude and follow a certain path, usually along a beach where there's lots of people. I mean, you actually feel like, wow, there's an education in every one of these skills. Every one of these things that you try, you're actually learning some of what the real pilots have to do. And that is interesting in itself. So, banner flying is a lot of fun, and it makes some money in there too. Now, Paul, you're going to be talking about the difference between an employee and a freelancer. You're going to get to that at some point, right? Okay.
Yes,
so what I'll do is I'll just focus on the helicopter part, and mine's just a small part, you guys. I'm just going to be here for a minute and just show you a couple of things. Here's the ending screen of what would happen when you finish a mission. And it will give you your bar just like any other mission on whether you did well or not. And it would tell you the areas that you're weak in. In this case here, it says I'm in an undesignated landing area. I think when I came in here, there was no real strip. You just tells you to go land on the south side or something. And so I did. And then I got dinged 25% for something. So, sometimes the things are surprising what you're going to get dinged on, right? Target retrieval time. Apparently, I wasn't fast enough. And this was a search and rescue. I had to go find somebody. And now that can take a long time, but there is a technique to that on how to find somebody. And I learned that from Real SAR. We had a session here with Real SAR people with us. And I learned some of the techniques on search patterns. And I've really got this number up to 92%, even to 100% at some point. Anyway, so, search and rescue is one of the big things for helicopter. A lot of fun. You got to go to mountainsides, typically at high altitude, retrieve somebody, find them first, retrieve them, and pull them back. The problem with that kind of mission is you could be given a mountainside full of trees. You just cannot get into that person. So, you just abort the mission and away you go. So let me just talk about the skills transfer itself. Now Paul's been talking about you've got to get that big one in the middle to start with. That's your private pilot license. And he was heading over to the left. That's all fixed wing on the left. For rotor, now we go to the right. But as Maddie Lynn mentioned in chat, we have to get our private pilot first. It's interesting, and it's also frustrating for some people who just want rotor, and they have to get private pilot fixed wing first. And then you can go into what's called commercial. And this is commercial for rotorcraft. And they're using the word rotorcraft, helicopters, of course, are one area that we want to do. Now, to do these, it's very little money that you're given to start with, and you need to do some of those first missions that Paul was talking about before you even have enough money to be able to do this. You look up here, I've got 3,000 credits, and I think the commercial for helicopters 3,500. I need 500 more credits. I got to do some first fly missions and build up 500 credits just to get my commercial for helicopter. Once I have commercial, now I have missions with helicopters. Now, let me talk about what that's all about. And they're going to use the Cabri G2, the same helicopter I use in my helicopter course on Udemy. And that Cabri G2 is a training helicopter. This is what it looks like. And in here you can see this is the training area. Now, let me say this, you guys. This training you can do without paying for the exam. The cost for your commercial, for any of these certifications, the cost gets you the exam. You're buying the exam. Whether you pass it or not, you're buying the exam. In this case here, you can go to any, and this goes for fixed wing too, you can go to any of these training sessions and just do them, and do them, and do them, and do them until you get really good at it. In my first crack here on basic maneuvers, after I already know how to fly helicopters, this thing was really squirrely when it first came out. I really had trouble even just manhandling this thing and getting it back to the ground. And so I got a B on it. So it's like, well, that's not okay. I passed. But once you do all of these and you scroll through and do them all, once you do all of these, this then, and you do your commercial exam, this comes green now, the little green dot here that says commercial pilot license. Now with that certification, now you can move on and do actual missions where you can make bigger money, all right? So you don't have to take the exam right away. You can do the lessons, do them over again, and if you want, even go and take Howard's lessons on Udemy. But these are sufficient, you guys. Just to be honest with you, all joking aside, this is all you need. And then even from the start, they give you everything you need to know. This I call it the simple state. They give you, there's the main rotor, there's the tail rotor. This is called a cyclic. This is your EPM, your electronic pilot monitor. Like, there's a lot to learn just in a simple page like this. And then taking you through the next skill, how to hover first. And that's one of the most important skills ever, is hovering. If you can hover and stay there and keep it steady, okay, you've got 90% of what you need to know about helicopters. And that is not easily attained. Now, here's each of these certifications will unlock more powerful helicopters and more variety in missions available. I've had people ask me on Facebook groups, is like, all I want to do is lift up with this crane. I want to fly the crane helicopter, and I want to just put towers on top of towers, with the crane helicopter. Well, you got to have all these other skills first, the basic commercial skills. You've got to do a turbine rating, which means you got to do the more powerful helicopters have turbine engines. You got to know how to handle them. And then from there, you have to get your specializations. Here's the hook endorsement. Here's the hoist endorsement, and then here's the airline transport pilot license rotorcraft. So now you can be hired for all those bigger missions like that Sky Crane. So this is a lot of fun, and you could even stay in this area here with just the smaller rotorcraft. And now in our simulator, as of today, this year, we can now add other helicopters to career mode. I want to talk about that too, because that's a big area of confusion. All right, so this is the progression for certifications to unlock missions, but we want to also talk about the variety of products that you can get. So when you go to Marketplace, they finally have implemented this thing they talked about long ago because developers didn't quite know how to do it yet. Now they do. Now we're getting flooded with aircraft that can do career mode. And this is the secret, you guys. When you look at a product in the Marketplace, and here I'm looking at the Hughes 500C, really good. This is Togue's Hangar, really good product. I could even demo that if we had time, but maybe I'll leave that one till a couple of weeks from now when I do a deep dive on helicopters, and I'll show you this one. This one can now do crop spraying instead of the R66. And so you might prefer this one instead of the R66. Now you have choices, all right? And so in this case, I'm looking down, before I buy it, I'm looking down here on the bottom right, and I see here it says compatible with Microsoft 2024, so that's good. And it says usable in career mode is in green. See the check mark there? Career mode is in green. World photographer, you can use it there also, and you can use it in free flight, of course. Free flight is the first thing that most of these products can do. You can see them in free flight, but you can't use them in career mode, and people go, why not? I want this thing. So keep in mind now, I'm going to pay real money here, or sim versus coins. I'm going to pay real money here. It doesn't mean that it will show up in career mode, because if I'm not qualified for this kind of helicopter, it still won't show up for me to fly. It'll show up as a red dot saying I can't use it. And this frustrates people. I paid for this thing. I paid good hard cash. Well, yeah. But you're not qualified to fly it, right?
Yeah, there is a lot of people who do not understand the concept that technically you have to buy it twice.
You have to buy it twice, right? You buy it once with money.
You have to buy it in the Marketplace to have it in your sim, and then you have to buy it in career mode in order to have it in your career mode. And there's a lot of people that do not understand that.
Yeah, because I think, Andrew, they think of it as buying it twice, like you said. I like to say that you're not buying it twice. Your business has to buy it with credits.
Yeah.
To have it in your business, right? That's what it is. Right?
Your pilot is you're buying it to have it in the sim, and your pilot is buying it to use it in his career.
So in career mode, that costs this thing costs a lot of money in career mode, you guys. But here's the second part. Now I scrolled down a little further. I was just up here. Scroll down a little further now, and it says to fly in career. And I'm glad they're putting this in to help people understand. I can the certification required. Compatible specializations, passenger transport, and flight seeing. And in career mode, the price is $860,000 for this helicopter. Those are credits. And as you build up your credits in career mode, you have enough credits to even buy this helicopter. And you can say, but I just paid $36 in the marketplace. But your business still has to buy this thing, like in real life, $860,000 for a helicopter, right? So it's simulating, there's a parallel here, you guys. It's simulating real life. If my business wants to buy a helicopter and start making money with it, I might need to throw $1 million at it. I might need to actually have my business in real life pay $1 million for that helicopter so I can go make some money with it. And that's what they're doing here in career mode. They're saying, yeah, your business can buy it for $860,000. And this is compatible with career mode. You will see it show up in career mode. You can go fly it. All right. Now, I'm going to give you guys an idea here on how you can practice with these things to see if you really want them in career mode before you commit this kind of money. All right. And that's really a thing that you should understand also. So let me just say this about the hardware for helicopters. Anything will do. Anything will do. When I do my deep dive on helicopters in a few weeks, I'm actually going to be using the new flight velocity stick. That's got all the levers you need for collective and everything. I mean, so I've actually done demos with this guy here, the Thrustmaster T1600. It's got a throttle slider right here. I've used this for the collective, and I use this for the cyclic. I've done completely smooth flights with that stick only. You don't need anything else. All right. So, and then of course now you got, a lot of you do know I do have the Virpil collective with a different grip up top, and I also have now I've got the Moza AB6 stick, force feedback stick. So I've got the best of the best hardware to go fly helicopters now, but it's not necessary. All right, just so you keep in mind, try these things first. Now, what you're seeing on the left here is the Xbox controller. Maybe some PS5 people tuning in today won't know what that is, but here is the PS5 controller right here. For those of us who don't have a PS5, we have never seen that kind of controller. And then here's extra hardware. I would say for those of you on PC, you can start out with just a simple stick like this. And this stick is ambidextrous. You can take the screw out here and change the thumb grip over to this side and the wrist grip back to this side for left-handers. All right, so you can actually change that around. Got switches on the left that we will need for trim and stuff, and switches on the right, and then we can use this slider as your collective, the part that makes the helicopter go up and down. So that's actually a good option, you guys. You don't have to invest a lot of money. And plenty of people still fly with the Xbox controller, but I'll say right now, the control you have with your thumbs to make the collective work are so fine that it's hard to get a smooth operation going. So in the deep dive, I'll go into control setup, how to set the sensitivities and the curves, and how to make things so that they're smoother. In real life, if you look at helicopters, and I've been in a lot of them, you look at helicopters, the stick starts at the floor and comes up to your normal relaxed state where your elbow is bent properly. So think about that for a second. That long arm all the way to the floor, the slightest movement up here gives an even slighter movement down below. I'm serious, you guys. So if you were manhandling the stick like this, the movements down below are very minute, and that's what keeps it smoother. And so the longer the stick, the better. And in fact, on my AB6 force feedback stick, I have the extra extension curve that I ordered that's coming in now. And they're all universal. They're made for Virpil and Thrustmaster and the Moza sticks. So I've got that coming now just to give my stick. I'm going to have to mount it on the floor now like a real helicopter stick. And now I step into the next version of realism, right? Yeah, very fine control. So when I'm saying it on the Xbox controller with your thumbs, think about it. There is no long stick or extension. So the slightest little movement, your helicopter's going to feel it, right? And that's going to be very hard. This is the biggest challenge with an Xbox controller for sure. All right, so always take off and land in oncoming wind. I'm going to speed this up now and give it back to Paul, you guys. But I just want to give you guys an idea when you're working with helicopters in career mode. I'm going to suggest you practice your chosen helicopter in free flight first. Go in there and make all the mistakes you want. Do your crashes and your spirals out of control and upside downs and everything that it takes to finally get control of this thing. And then go back and take the lessons again. I know you did them already. You might have got a B. You might have got an A. Go back and refresh the lessons and now go do your first mission. All right. And you'll be surprised how well you do. Don't take something hard like crop spraying. The first thing you have to do in crop spraying is you have to land on a truck, the back end of a pickup truck with your helicopter. So that has got to be the most precise thing you'll do with a helicopter. And they're asking you to do that right at the start of the mission. All right, so don't go crop spraying right away. Do the things like cargo and taking people for sightseeing. All right, and those things get you comfortable with your helicopter run distance. All right. Yeah, I think Dead Knot, you're right. It's a great stick on a budget. That's why I'm recommending it for people, so they don't have to invest a lot of money, right? Now, I was going to.
I think your.
Oh, go ahead, Charlie.
I think your advice for helicopters is true of airplanes. If you want to fly an airplane in the career mode that you haven't flown much, practice it in pre-flight and get good at it before you use it a lot in career mode.
Yep, very good point. I was going to demonstrate this, but I'm just going to give it back to Paul, and then if we have some time to demonstrate this, then I will. The focus tonight is Paul and his experience with career mode, you guys. But I just took this picture yesterday. This was using I think it was the Hughes, it's the 500C from the marketplace, the one I just showed you. I ended up getting it because I love the helicopter in 2020, so now I have it here in 24 native. The interesting part is, in career mode, they fuel you up. They typically give you half tanks or whatever it takes. They will put the chemical in the bottom of your tank to get you going. You got to get to the fuel truck first, as I mentioned, and land on the truck, and then they put the fluid in for you. Here in free mode, you don't have any fluid in those tanks. This is free flight, you guys. I just bought this plane, but it can do crop dusting. And so what you do is you go to your tablet, you go to your E6B, and you'll notice that there's an area here that says liquid. If it can do spraying, if it has the sprayer apparatus, you'll see another tab here called liquid. And in here, you just use your mouse to fill it up. I've got this thing almost full now. And, or what does that say, 0 out of 129? So I have to use my mouse to fill it up. Once I've got it filled up, you'll want to map a switch to do the crop dusting. So this will be for whether you're using a hoist, whether you're using the spray, or whether you're using fixed wing, like Paul was mentioning about the scoop endorsement, when you're going to go put out fires. Your scoops have to be able to be opened also. You can't be in the plane fumbling around trying to find the right switch. You just have something mapped to it that makes it fast so you can drop your water real quick. The big red button on an Alpha is good for dropping water. It certainly can be the same switch used for this. I'm using my AB6 stick, and I'm just using the trigger button right at the very index finger to do my sprays on and off as I do this. And I'm just out in, actually this was the Jurassic Park Wilderness area, one of the airports. I was just out there practicing up and down the runway because the runway's a good alignment out of the left eye. And I'm just staying along there, trying to get as low as I can and trying to do the spray thing with this helicopter before I take it into career mode. All right, so your action plan for starting helicopters, you guys, first of all, get familiar with the main screen of your career mode. And then certainly get your private pilot license first, as Paul has mentioned. That's for anything at all in career mode. Got to have that big circle in the middle first. Then do your commercial rotorcraft lessons, and then take the commercial exam, and then make money. All right, and that's really what you want to do. And when you're starting with helicopters, this is a real picture, you guys. I actually did land on a truck. There's the truck I'm talking about. You got to land on the thing, and any way you can muscle your way into that. Now, when career mode first started, back in November, we could not get near the truck. As soon as we got over the truck, all the dynamics changed, and it made the helicopter go all over the place. We couldn't actually hover quietly or smoothly and stay on top of that truck. So they fixed all that in some update along the way. But finally we can land on trucks and get fueled. And this is actually the chemical truck before you head back out onto the field, right? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, so I do want to mention I do have a course, Learn to Fly Helicopters for Simulator Pilots. I included this in the slide deck, and Paul didn't object, so I've still left it in there. This is a sample showing you lesson 13 to 17, and this is everything you need to know about helicopters, and we're afraid to ask. And I'll tell you guys, this is using the Cabri also. Great training helicopter, and I did this same kind of lesson plan with R22 Robinsons, which is a possibility also. But anyway, the Cabri, it really shines in this area. So I thought I'd mention it. That's on Udemy if you guys do want to venture into that area. So Paul, that's all I'm going to show. I want to let you guys know that if you do want to try crop spraying, there are two different R66s. The one that's in career mode is the Robinson R66. That's the Microsoft Carenado one. It has the apparatus for it. The one from Cowan Sim doesn't have the apparatus for it, and you can't use it in career mode. And then also, when we look at the helicopter screen, you'll find all the helicopters that are available, and then you can find out which ones would actually work in career mode or go and buy them. So you saw that I picked up the 500C. I type in 500 there it is. That's the Togs Hangar one. And when you configure it, just make sure that you've got it configured here for agricultural spray, and that'll work in career mode, and you can pick it in career mode. And now just go practice it anywhere you want. All right, and just keep practicing until you're getting real smooth at that, and do it like a lawnmower, you know. And so just go up and down one strip, turn around, go down the other way. Just keep doing that until you get really good at handling your helicopter, and then go in and hover and land, and then you'll be good to go, and you'll be able to handle career mode. Okay, Paul, we'll take it back to you. That's all. Is there any questions, you guys, before we unleash it back onto Paul? I'm going to take a look in chat here. Not have access to the same things as PC. Yeah, so I'm not sure if you have access to this. I guess you'd have to go to career mode. Come back to my screen for a second, and just have a look in Marketplace back here. And I guess what we're looking for, you guys, is the symbols that say it's available for both Xbox and PC, right? And PS5, I guess. So if we went over to
you wouldn't see PS5 in
here, we wouldn't see it
because
right?
it's not cross compatible. So
there's the Mini 500, which we used to have in 2020, right? So if I were
Mini 5, that's got friends, if I remember right.
Right, you're right. Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't bring it over for us, right? So here is the 500E right here, the one I just got. I just wanted to see what it said for which platforms, right? Helicopter, new update, MD500, 2024. Oh, it doesn't say career on it. Is this the same one I got? Oh, this is a different one. I'm sorry, you guys. This is the CS500E. Okay, from Cowan. Yeah, so this one is not compatible with career mode. You will never see it in career mode, even if you buy it now. But you notice here it shows platform, it shows Xbox and PC. This is what I was after. I was trying to show you whether you can find out whether it's available for your platform. But from what I understand and what Andrew says is it will never show us that it's available for PS5 because we're on a PC, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But you think it would
PC,
show
Xbox
you that
will not, theoretically would not show PS5 because there's no cross compatibility, so you can't buy it on an Xbox or PC and use it in PS5.
So they don't put it here because that would mislead us, maybe. Yeah.
That would be my assumption anyway. I mean, not having a PS5, I couldn't say for sure, but
yeah, it'd be interesting to have a PS5 owner. If someone is in chat right now with a PS5, that'd be good to know for fixed wing and for helicopters. If what you see here shows you just, I guess it would only show you things for PS5. It probably wouldn't even have this platform here. That would be interesting to see what that screen looks like. But anyway, I don't want to take up more time, you guys, but let's go over back to Paul and get back on track with fixed wing and his adventures with career mode.
Great, thanks, Howard, for taking us through that. That's some really good stuff, and as was mentioned at some point there, that's even some stuff that's relevant to doing the fixed wing stuff. So moving out of the path of where you want to go with this, let's take a look at the private pilot's license and just the process of getting that. So Howard took you through on the helicopter side, going through the lessons. And one of the things I would say is, for those of you who have a lot of experience flying in the flight simulator, you don't even need to go through these lessons. I mean, yeah, you can do them. You can pick up some stuff probably, even if you have some experience. But for the most part, if you just want to pass the exam, then you can do that very easily without having gone through this. And one of the things I found, particularly, maybe not quite so much at this level, but in some of the higher levels, the exam is actually easier than the lessons themselves. The
exam is actually ridiculously easy. And I think they intend that so that people can advance, right?
Yeah, it's avoiding frustration with, dang nabbit, I got to go through this. Now, the good news is once you've bought the exam, then you've got it for life. Like you
keep doing
write the exam as many times as you need to pass it. So you don't have to worry about having to pay that $3,500 or whatever it is.
I'll show them my screen, Paul.
Time you write it.
Here's my screen here with the commercial pilot license for rotorcraft, and you can see right here it says repass exam. Well, I already passed it, so I don't want to do it again. So, but
Yeah.
I'd recommend, even if you zoom past the lessons, like Paul says, in fixed wing, I would say helicopters are a lot more complex and they're not intuitive. I had a very hard time being a fixed wing pilot in real life, getting used to helicopters where you point the nose down to go forward. So, a lot of that stuff still didn't work for me at first. I really had to work it and get some real lessons and all that. So I would suggest you do the lessons for rotorcraft because they're a lot harder than with fixed wing. As most of you know, you can sit on the runway, give it full throttle, and eventually you'll get in the air with an airplane. You give this thing full throttle and it's out of control. So, I mean, it's not going to be as easy. I would suggest the training certainly for helicopter, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Back to you, Paul.
Good point. Thanks. All right. Once you've done the lessons, or if you want to skip over them, you're going to go to the actual license certification. For this particular one, you're flying a simple circuit. You take off, climb, and it's relatively straightforward. So it doesn't take an awful lot to get through that. And then once you get past it, you get a ranking. Basically, I'm not too sure. Oh, yeah, pass is basically a C or above. And if you've got any kind of experience flying, it's not hard to easily get an A in that. So once you've got that, then you are capable of flying some basic flights. Your first flight, that's about the only one that you can fly with that particular one. And start making a little bit of money so that you can now go ahead and take a look at moving up and being your own commander of your own company. So first of all, though, you are going to start as an employee. And Howard talked a little bit about the differentiation between being an employee versus being what they call a freelancer. Freelancer is where you own your own company, you own your own airplanes. As an employee, you are working for somebody else. You are flying their airplanes. It has some advantages. First of all, the certification requirements or the specialization requirements aren't as high, but and you don't have to worry about the plane. If you crash the plane, you get a ding on your certification, or not on your certification, but on your reputation as a pilot. But it's not going to cost you anything to fix the plane. So there are advantages to starting as an employee, but the biggest disadvantage is that you're making very little money. You're making about 1/10 as much money as an employee as you would if you were flying it for your own company. So that's something to think about. One thing to keep in mind, and you're going to want to watch this as you're flying. So you're starting out as an employee. This will be an example of your first missions that will come up when you're in that mode. And you can see it's a little leaf. That's your first flight. And so you're going to go ahead and do some of those until you get enough credits. And Krabby made a good point that we're talking about credits here. These are not dollars or rupees or any of that kind of stuff. So that's one of the reasons the numbers may seem a little off. But when you're getting those credits, those early credits, this is the only option you've got. The trick you have to watch out for is that at some point you're going to move over to freelancer. You're going to do most of your flying in freelance mode with your own planes, your own companies. And the problem is that every once in a while, it's going to take you back to employee mode and you won't realize it. And you go in and you do a mission and you say, why on earth did I only make $10,000 doing this?
Right.
And then you realize, oh, shoot, I was in employee mode.
Because the boss made 100,000, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They made all the money and you're broke. So you don't have to check it all the time. And I'll show you a way that you can tell fairly quickly, and something that you want to do before every mission that you fly is going to tell you the difference. And I didn't notice that. I thought, oh, this is funny. I can't do something. And I didn't realize that was because I was an employee again. So I'll take you through what that looks like. So you do your first flight missions. I fly a few of those until you get enough money to buy your first company and your first airplane. The first airplane does come at a discount. So you can buy it relatively cheap. I can't remember. I think it's like $10,000 or
but
something.
never sell it. I mean, people have
Yeah.
said I've sold it, to get some money to buy something else, and then they realize to buy it back again, it's 250,000
Yeah.
when it was 10,000 for your first plane, right?
Exactly. So
Never sell that first one.
A good investment to keep a hold of.
I also want to mention, Paul, I think I saw Oz Nomad was in chat. He just resubbed for a forever amount of months, and he's a very experienced career mode guy, and I'm surprised he hasn't mentioned some tips in there too. We've highlighted him in past sessions because he does missions that pull millions every mission. So it's like he's had fleets of airliners, I mean, he's gone way far and beyond most of us, Paul. So he's really good for some tips and tricks too, you guys. So Oz, if you're there, show yourself and say hi and contribute any tips along the way while Paul is talking, right?
Absolutely. And I'll try to go back through and highlight those to the group as we go through. If you do have anything to add, more than happy to hear from you. Okay. So, then we move up to the commercial pilot license. And again, the training for this is pretty basic. The main thing that it adds is doing navigation as opposed to just flying a circuit. So not a huge amount to learn from that, and it's not always easy to get these high ranks, but don't worry about it. If you don't pass the training, you can still easily pass the exam. So when you take a look at the exam, it's a basic takeoff, climb, long final entry, final, and land the thing. So you can pretty much do that the minute you've got your private pilot's license. That's a little more expensive. Let me just see if I can see.
It's a straight-in approach too. It's actually a very easy exam, you guys, compared to real life.
It really is.
And a straight-in approach, I don't know, maybe that'd be harder for people who've never done it, but it wasn't a hard exam at all. I was disappointed that the lessons are harder than the exam. Yeah. But, they want people to move forward, and they don't want everybody discouraged sitting there going, hate this thing because I can never pass it. So I can see why. Yeah, if it took weeks and weeks and weeks of getting through just the exam, you'd probably want to give up. So get your commercial pilot license, and then you can start making some real money. Then you can start buying your own companies and planes. But you're still going to have to be doing some of the other stuff until you can have enough money to do that. So the next starting as an employee, and then the next step is moving up beyond being an employee. And so let me just take a break again here, open it up to the group, see if there are any questions coming out of getting that commercial pilot license. So I want to, that's good that you're taking a break here, because I want to mention about Marnicle's suggestion there. So Marnicle says the training is available outside career mode under activities training. I'm going to say right now, Marnicle, that is not high quality training at all. I would say in career mode has better quality training than it does in your activities training. This goes for 2020 also. It was horrible. So many people confused coming out of the training. It doesn't follow any curriculum of any flight school anywhere. They have people coming into a circuit before they even know how to do straight and level flight. So, I mean, there's stuff in there. I know it's there in activities training without going to career mode, but, do it in career mode. It's free. Just do it. Right? You do it in activities training, it'll take you forever, and people are still confused and asking questions. I just mentioned that as a flying instructor myself, not a CFI. That years and years, 15, 17 years of teaching flying, that built-in stuff, they need work on that. All right, so I just thought I'd mention that. I know you've recommended where to find it, but it isn't good. These people with questions. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, moving up. Some important tips about flying the missions. We'll take you through that. And actually, I was doing some cut and paste, and I also forgot that I had some notes that I wanted to make sure I covered. But anyway, moving up, one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to form a company. You're going to buy a company. And I'll take you through what that process looks like. You're then going to have to buy a plane, at least one plane for that company. You can buy multiple planes over time. We're going to talk about insurance. Insurance is fairly important for your first plane when you don't have a lot of money.
But at some point, you are going to not want to buy insurance, because if you have insurance on a bunch of planes, you are going to lose pretty much as much money as you make just paying for the insurance every time. Because when you fly, if you fly and you've got 3 other planes that are also being flown for you in your company, you're paying insurance on all 4 planes. And so there's a strategy to using insurance that will save your bacon in the initial stages, but won't cost you an arm and a leg in the long run. Then you're going to, at some point, you're going to want to start putting multiple planes into multiple companies. I'm going to talk about the strategy I used to get where I am. Obviously, you're going to want to play around with that, but I've seen a lot of other people who are doing fairly similar kind of strategies in their plane and company purchasing strategies. So one thing you're going to do is you're going to want to create a company that makes some good money. And for me, one of the best ones that I could do myself without getting into the great big transport planes was in the VIP, what's it called? The
VIP missions?
Taking people on VIP trips. Right. They are very good money makers. I don't do a lot of them because they're 5.5-hour flights, and I very frequently don't have 5.5 hours to put into a flight. And so, but what I'll do is I'll create a company and create planes that other people can fly for me. And then if I do maybe a couple of the shorter missions in a day, and then somehow or another, these other people are taking that time, mashing it together and saying, oh, I spent 5.5 hours flying this for you. And so I'll show you what that can do for you in the way of money coming in. So for me, flying the missions you like to do is an important one. And I'm definitely going to get into some of the other ones, the banner and the paratrooper, parachute guys. I'm going to get back into that, try that with different planes. So I'm going to see, because there certainly are challenges there that I think sound really interesting. But I've been flying basic flights, and I'll do it. And as I mentioned earlier, I will start the flight. I will put it into autopilot mode. I will let it fly while I'm doing something else on my computer, just keeping an eye on it from time to time, so I can be productive on other things and make a fair bit of money doing it that way. But if you want the challenge of more challenging missions, then by all means take a look at doing those. But fly what you like, and then let the passive income finance your company. So you're basically going to get to the point where you're letting other people make money for you and bringing those millions of credits in. So here's an example, and this one actually was a fairly lucrative one. I frequently, on my missions that I'm flying, I'm not even making this much. I'll make 120,000 credits. But on that same mission, as I flew that, here was what I made on passive income. So I made over $1 million.
So it's minute for minute, you guys. If he only had 30 minutes to fly a mission, and he picked a mission that was 30 minutes, all of his planes would be flying 30 minutes also. There's where the money is. It's like compound interest in the nth degree, right?
Yeah,
that's amazing. Look at it.
Yeah, and you can see the flight duration, they're all exactly the same amount of duration, which is exactly the same amount of time that I flew. And this is one thing to take away as well, is that if you're not flying, your other planes aren't making any money.
Right.
They're not making money when you're asleep. They're not making money when flight simulator's not running. They're not even making when flight simulator's running and you're not doing anything. You only make money off of them when you are flying. So you've got to put those hours in, but this was, I'm pretty sure this was 2 different flights that I took. And this was just me doing an 1.5-hour long flight and an hour-long flight. And it mashed them together and said, okay, well, here's the amount of money. And you can see my Pilatus PC-12, I made $250,000 just on that one flight. again, somebody else flying it for me. If I scroll down, I think there was another plane that made at least that much money, probably more, actually. So that's where you're going to make money, and you need money to run this game. If you really want to have fun with the game, you can't be cringing every time you spend money on maintenance and be worried that you're going to run out of money. So you can see now, I mean, I've got $49 million credits. And so when I have to do maintenance on a plane that costs me $1 million, it doesn't bother
You just
me.
do it. Yeah, you've got the reserves.
Absolutely.
And Meyer, Charlie, if I can just interrupt a minute, Paul. Charlie says he's surprised the VisionJet makes less than the PC-12 when he was looking at that chart of yours, I think, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And
back to it.
it's well known, you guys. I own a fleet of PC-12s just because they are the bigger money maker. I have some VisionJets, and I've noticed on my list too. The VisionJet has higher costs. It's a higher maintenance plane too. It's got a jet engine, right? PC-12 is a turboprop, right?
Yeah. And I have to take a look at what company, because one of the things is maybe this is only flying medium level, not the VIP,
right?
Just the standard passenger trips.
There's that too, yeah.
Making as much money, whereas the PC-12 is up in the higher range of stuff. So yeah, that's a good point. All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying, wow, when I looked at the comments, Paul, look, Oz Nomad says maintenance on a 737 after 30 hours of flight can be as high as $40 million. Yep. So it's like, maybe that's close to real life too, you guys. That's why they cram us all in and charge us through the nose to get on these planes, right? They got to pay for them. Plus all the fuel.
Yeah, and even turboprops, it's amazing how expensive they are for the maintenance. I mean, you can easily spend, and I'll take you through when you want to maintain them, because if you let them go as up to the maximum, typically they'll all say 25 hours you need to maintain them. If you let it go 25 hours, you can easily spend, with some planes I can spend $2 or $3 million just on a turboprop. So
right.
Yeah, they're not cheap. And one of the strategies that I've just very recently learned is hit it before you hit that maximum. Don't wait for the 25 hours. I find if you do it after about 10 hours, you're in better shape. Now, one of the things I need to mention, and this was something that took me a while to figure out, if you go through the certifications, you've got your qualification to buy the plane, you get a certification for a particular type of mission. You can't just start doing those missions right off the bat. You need to actually go in as an employee and run 1 or 2 missions with these stars that say, okay, you've now got the new qualifications, find somewhere on the earth, and they may not even be anywhere near where you're currently flying. Like I based everything out of Toronto when I started. I tried to kind of stay close to Toronto. And I discovered, oh yeah, one of the certifications in order to create a company and buy an airplane for that kind of mission, I needed to go over to Japan. And I needed to fly one of these star missions in Japan before I could do anything with, as far as my own company. So remember that you can get the certification, you can get the specialization, but you still need to fly as an employee sometimes a couple of these missions before you can actually do it yourself in your own company.
And that'll unlock them. Yeah. Some people call them gold missions. They give advice to people saying, if you don't see any missions and you expect to see them, find a gold mission and unlock your missions. And then all of a sudden, boom, there's a bunch of other missions available afterwards. It's good advice, Paul, because a lot of people are confused, right?
Yeah, that one, it took me a while to figure out. In fact, I think I had to Google it to figure it out. All right, so that is there. Part 2, once you've got kind of your basics, there's a couple of tips that I recently found, and I'm not 100% sure even about this first one. One of the problems that I had was that I was frequently starting a mission, everything was bright and sunny, and I was getting up in the air, and then all of a sudden I needed to go take a phone call or make dinner or something. So I put it on active pause, and I'd go away, I'd get dinner, I'd eat dinner, or deal with whatever I had to, and I'd come back, and it'd be dark. Because active pause, the time doesn't stop. And so all of a sudden, now I have to land in the dark on this unlit field.
Unlit field, yeah.
And it was not fun.
That is not easy, you guys.
So-
I've done it, but it was white knuckling.
It really
You get
is.
close,
And-
you go slow, you do a low pass, you try to find the runway, you have all your lights on, then you come around, do another pass, see if you can line up with the runway. Oh, you can't tell the depth. It's with no lights on the runway. That is
brutal.
crazy. Yeah.
And sometimes you go careening off into the woods
Yep.
on the side. Oh, you just messed up that one. So I did find that once you pass a couple of the certifications, and we'll talk about those in a second, you can set the time of day in your career mode. And I've seen discussions now, a lot of these are going back to 2024 of people saying that doesn't seem to do anything. I think it does, because what I've been trying to do now is I'll set the time of day when I look at the mission, and I'll set it to sunrise. And then that way I've got a lot more latitude on how long it ends up taking me to fly this thing. So it may be only an hour and a half long flight, but it may take me 5 or 6 hours to fly it. And if I start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I don't want to be flying at 9 o'clock at night. I'm going to talk about the 2 cheats that you can use that will not hurt you in any way, but give you a little bit of a bonus, particularly early on. One of them in particular, we'll talk about the pricing. It does not cost you anything to move around the planet. You can go anywhere and take a mission in any part of the planet, and it doesn't ding you any money or any credits. But taking a plane with you does cost you credits. And so in the early stages, sometimes you'll have a mission there's no planes around to fly it. You have to move the plane. It costs 3,000 or 4,000 credits, and you can actually use this one cheat to get all or most of that money back. So that can be very handy in the early stages. This one, I don't know how to avoid it. I actually just tried. I was trying to get my reputation up this afternoon before I came in here, because I was kind of embarrassed that I was at a B level reputation. I've been up in the S, the super level. And so I thought, oh, I'll just fly a couple of the simple cargo missions and get my reputation up. And I had to land at an airport. I did 5 go-rounds to try to get into this airport. And every single time as I came in close to the runway, all of a sudden my plane would be on edge flying, and it would be like 100 feet up and 100 feet off to the right of the runway. And even if I was crabbing trying to come in, the wind would just bounce me around like crazy. And I don't know what the answer to that is, other than typically if you fly in the summertime, you get less of that kind of severe gusty crosswinds. But man, they can be a real pain, and you kind of got to learn how to fly around those. And I guess I need to take some lessons in flying in gusty crosswinds. And then my biggest tip is figure out what it is you want to do, fly it almost all the time, and then every once in a while do one of those high-paying gigs. Because you will find, like, if I go in, I can get 110 credits for flying a simple mission, and I'll make $1 million credits or even $2 million credits from other people flying by other planes. But if I go in and I pick up one of those high-paying gigs, I can make 3 or 4 million credits myself, and then another 2 or 3 million from the other people. So I can make 5 million. So if you find your money getting a little low, fly one of those high-paying gigs yourself, and then you're going to end up making a lot of money. Yeah. So this is basically the certification for my cargo transport light.
Nice job.
Thanks. Yeah, and you'll find I don't know what it was. I tried the first few times I flew this, my cargo integrity was always around 84. And I did not understand why. I Googled it.
Coordinated
I couldn't
flight.
see any reasons.
Yeah, I'm gonna say one
okay.
phrase, coordinated flight, which most people don't know what that is. there's where basic flying skills come in handy, you guys. If you know how to do coordinated flight with rudders, as you make your turns, cargo's shifting, and that's giving you percentages off. A hard landing, even turbulence you have no control of, can knock that number down, right? Because the cargo's bouncing around, right?
Interesting. Well, I don't know what it is because I don't do coordinated flights now, and my cargo integrity is almost always up at 95. And this is the one particularly on the hard landing. If you do a hard landing, you're going to see it down in this condition of the aircraft. So you want it. This is easy to get 100%. This one, a fair bit harder to get up to 100%. The cargo integrity I just found, but I'm going to try that coordinated turns because that's basically using your rudders in coordination with your ailerons when you do your turns.
If you've got an analog display with a turn and bank indicator, make sure the ball stays in the center on the turn. I mean, you know this, Paul, but I'm saying it to the crowd. And that ball is in a circular, like a half circle vial of alcohol. And that ball, if you can keep that ball in the middle as you turn left, as you start to bank left, use some left rudder, and that gives you a more coordinated turn. You're not slipping or skidding, and that way you would feel it in a real plane. You would actually feel that sensation in a real plane of slipping or skidding. So you can actually sense that. In the sim, we can't sense it. We got to look at the instrument to see it, right? That's part of where that rating comes from. Yeah. Step on the ball. That's it. That's exactly it. Step on the ball.
Yeah.
If it's going left, step on it. Yep.
Just taking a look at some earlier comments, that wind shear stuff. I think Meyer, I agree 100%. It seems like that wind changed it around, and Oz, the turbulence set at max just does not seem realistic. And there's times it's almost impossible to land, and then particularly in the summertime, I hardly had any problems. And now that the winter's back, it's not much fun. So a good couple of points.
Crabby one. Plane owners may be watching upon delivery landing too. Take it in nice and smooth, you guys. Yeah,
exactly.
But certainly, Dev, that's a good one, right? Smash the glass and drink the alcohol. Yeah, okay.
A couple of points on that. One of the things I find cargo, and I think Howard mentioned this months ago, was that with cargo, you don't have your cargo complaining about the flight.
Yeah.
The number of times I've flown a passenger and everything was smooth, I did everything right, and the passenger was like at 25% happy.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what to do to make you happy.
You're supposed to serve her drinks. And when she's on her cell phone, you're supposed to be quiet, right? I mean, there's all of that, right?
Yeah.
I don't like those ones. I don't like those ones. They're always nattering, and they're always, oh, don't do that. You're going too fast. I like cargo runs, you guys, because they don't complain. Yeah, you're right, Paul.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love it too when they say, yeah, make sure I have Wi-Fi connection for this entire flight. It's like, I have no idea how to fix that.
How to fix that, yeah. Oz is right, though, you guys. Also, when you're on the ground, I mean, taxiing on the ground, we use the yoke or the stick to set the ailerons and the elevator when we're on the ground taxiing. That's something, a basic skill that all pilots learn. So that would affect it too. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Oz. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, that is a good point. Because I literally did have one where I was taking a corner when I was taxiing, and my plane flipped over and it crashed. It's like,
oops,
darn it.
Another plane over here.
Yeah. So good point. And then what was the other thing? I can't remember, but
Charlie, 16-foot wide runway. Oof. 16-foot wide runway. What are you doing in one of those?
Yeah.
That's got to be backwoods, right? So, go back to that one screen before that. You got 933,000. Is that passive?
Yeah, this
that's your
was
passive,
another
right?
passive one that I've left in. I meant to take out, but yeah. Let me quickly go into how are we doing time? Oh, we're in good time.
Yeah, we got great time. Yep. I've got a helicopter on pause in case anyone wants to see me spraying.
Sweet. All right. So let me first of all take you through. So we're going to take a look at missions. One of the things I realized very recently, as I say, I was doing all my stuff over here. You can see.
I just saw a gold star there somewhere. Back there in Europe.
I think that's. I wanted to get into the. There's an airline transport prop plane that I wanted to buy I didn't have what I needed to buy the jet, like it was a 737 or something. But I thought, oh, I can just get this prop plane. And I could not for the life of me get it. And so it may be that I'm missing one of those. So anyway, here's where I started. This is our home base, as Howard knows very well. I think I did start at down here on the Toronto Island Airport. Yeah, that's where my home is. Oh, actually, my home is in Downsview.
That's true. I was going to say your home is Downsview Airport. Yeah, home of de Havilland everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is further north, you guys.
So I used to always pick my missions. Like I'd go to this mission and say, I'm starting in Canada, but I'm ending up in the States. I don't want to end up in the States. So I want to pick a mission where I end up in Canada. It's all down in the States. And so I would try to find missions that I stayed in Canada. Don't know why. I guess I just wanted to know more about my country than having to fly into the States. But then eventually it got to the point where I realized that the more places you go, the more missions you open up.
Right.
And you'll see, it's kind of vague here, but you see these little circles, these light circles, and that's basically where you have been. And so that's where your mission starting points are going to come from. So a strategy I've started to develop is I said, hey, I'm going to start exploring more of the continent. And so I started coming down here. I got to the point where I was on Cuba, and then I got to the point where I was dabbling into Mexico and Central America.
All the way down to Central. I did the same path. Yeah, I ended up in Central going, oh, this is all right. There's a lot of cargo missions down in Central, right?
There are a lot of cargo missions, and there's some cool scenery to see as well.
Absolutely.
So, and this one, you can tell, I mean, there's nothing between here and there. I didn't do this by flying a light cargo mission. I did one of my VIP missions, and you can see that those are big, long missions.
They're long, yeah.
This one's only 3 hours. That one is, anyway.
Surly Dev says, was I wrong to pick Forder Resort as my home base for career mode? For those who don't know, Forder Resort is way up in Alaska in the boonies.
You're not going to find
there are missions up there. I have a few up there because I did pick some from there. There's a lot of VIP and cargo missions and a few rescues on the sea with some helicopters, right? Up there in Alaska.
Take you over to Russia.
Yeah, I've done Australia and I've done certainly North America and South America. Yeah, the three main ones. Once I had some mission to, I don't know how, I think it was like one of those gold missions in Europe. Next thing you know, a ton of Europe opened up. It was like, wow, that was cool. And you know, that's how it works, you guys. Is you do a gold mission. You got one. There's a gold star there, I think, in the middle and somewhere in Europe, right? And that's a medevac. So once you do that, all of a sudden a bunch more medevacs open up. You know, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so you'll find, and this is what I did now. The trick is, because you'll notice, I mean, I've got a VIP over here, but if I go into this VIP, and this is just a private, so this is a low-level VIP. This one may be longer. Yeah, here's an actual VIP mission. So if I click on that and say, okay, I want to fly that mission, it's going to say no aircraft on site. Minimum transfer cost, 829,000 credits. So that's because I don't have any aircraft that will do that mission over here in Europe. So it's got to pull it in from North America.
Or he could buy one now and place it there. If he bought a new one, you guys. You could do that too.
Good point.
If you wanted to buy a new aircraft.
Yeah.
Because moving them around, I mean, you're just going to keep moving, keep paying, you know, like if you buy one and leave it there, now it can move shorter distances to do Europe, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I ended up doing. You'll see I've got one down here. This is just a 172. I moved it over because it didn't cost very much at all to move it over. And so now I just leave it here and I'm doing all my flying in Europe. And so now I've explored big chunks of Spain and France and all of that kind of stuff. I talked about setting your time, and here's where you do that. This doesn't show up until you've done, I think it's your IFR and your night flying certifications. Once you've done that, all of a sudden this will appear. And again, based on chats and stuff in a year or more ago, it seemed like this didn't do much. But I have found every time I've done this, I set it, you can see down here, there's a little symbol for the sunrise. So I crank this thing back to sunrise, and that means I've got enough light to start the plane up without needing a flashlight, which is a real pain. So I've got enough light to that, but then it still gives me lots of time before sunset, which is, can't remember what time it's at, but it's much later. So that gives me more time to fly in the sunlight. And you can even see there's a little bit of a thing that shows up that tells you that you're in daylight. But just use this as a guide to doing that. So
I think Oz says he sets it for 0 Zulu, but that helps him in Australia because it gives him 8 in the morning, right?
of course,
Something like that.
That's what you want.
But figure out what works for you guys. But you know, the idea, as Paul is saying, is daylight to start, so you got lots of daylight for your flight, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I honestly think, Paul, that there is more credits for night flight, or more credits for even really overcast, cloudy, almost even IFR kind of flight. I think there is more credits for that.
Yeah, you're right.
But it's more challenging, of course, right?
Yeah, you don't want to do that on your first flights if you don't know how to land, particularly if you've got 180-degree change in wind direction that is throwing you all over the sky. And bad weather flights, you get those all the time.
Maddie Lynn,
That's one thing too to note, is that when you're flying in autopilot mode, if you're flying IFR instrument flights because you're in bad weather, they're going to be coming at you all the time with changes of your radio frequencies. And if you step away, you put it on autopilot, and then you walk away to go make lunch, and one of those what's it called, radio frequency changes comes up, and they say change your frequency, and you don't reply, then you're going to lose points for doing that. And so you always, particularly when you're flying IFR or in the early stages even of VFR flight, you want to stick close to the plane, even if it's in autopilot, because you're going to get air traffic control information that you need to respond to.
And on that note, even if you start in an IFR flight, you guys, take the handoff to departure. Once departure gives you your clearance and away you go, then you can, from the menu, you'll see it, scroll down to the bottom, you'll see cancel IFR, and it'll do the request to cancel IFR, and you can do VFR the whole rest of the flight without worrying about changing frequencies every half hour kind of thing. And VFR is the way to go. When you get to your destination, do standard circuit.
Yeah. As long as they've got weather. There have been times that I'm flying in.
Well, you can always request IFR again, I guess, if it's that bad, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That was brutal. I'm thinking, I'm flying, they're telling me to fly IFR, and I'm landing with clouds that are down to 200 feet here. I don't know how to do this. So yeah, that's the basic stuff on the mission side. Let me just go in very, very quickly. I'm not going to fly a whole mission, obviously, but I will show you. So it's basically going to say, you don't have an aircraft. Here's how much it's going to cost to transport this aircraft over here. Maybe I won't do that. I'll do it with one of my flights. Oh yeah, that was the other thing I wanted to show you was here it's not too bad. When I go back to North America and I take a look, actually I've not even got too much going on over here. There are times you're going to have a million different kinds of flights circulating around here, and you're thinking, how on earth do I find the one I want? What you want to do is you want to go click on this arrow under missions, and then click on the top bar called filters, and then click on specializations. And here you can pick the type of flight you want to do. So for me, right now, I'm going to do cargo transport light. Click on that, and now it's only going to show those kinds of missions, no matter where I go. I can hide that. So now I'm going to just pick on one that's close. So here's a close one. Click on that. It's an hour and a half. Not going to do that, obviously. It only cost me 400 credits, though, to move my plane for this one. So that's pretty straightforward. Once this shows up as I can click on accept mission, I'm going to go in here. Takes a minute or two.
there's one, as you're doing that, there's one tip that people keep telling me is that sell your fuel when you get there.
Yeah, that's
And
what I'm
then,
going to.
is that one of them you're going to tell us, Paul?
Yeah, that's the other one.
And then buy your fuel, what you need.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Or sell it when you're done or something.
Yeah, exactly. So here's your closest aircraft, 400 credits. If I had another one close, yeah. So I don't have anything available, but if I did have other ones, I could choose another one. I'm going to go in here, and you always want to go in here, and you are going to, in a second, you're going to be in the hangar. The first thing you want to do is go up here and manage your aircraft. So I click on that, and I want to take a look. Now, I noticed Oz had something about he goes 35 hours between maintenance. I get mandatory after 25 for these smaller planes. And even once I start getting up towards 25 hours, I'm going to start having all kinds of problems on my components. So what I've started doing is I will check it after this drops down to about 15 hours, between 15 and 10 hours. I'll click on this check. I can't do it because I just checked it. I may go in. And then one of the things I noticed too, and I just noticed this and I haven't quite figured it out, this will show you all the components. If you've got one that's red or orange and you click on it, it will tell you how much it will cost to maintain it. But frequently, if you go into this delegated maintenance and click on that, it will fix everything much cheaper than if you do them one at a time. So I'm not too sure how that works, but anyway, it's something to keep an eye on. You may want to check and see if you've got 4 or 5 items that need maintaining. Sometimes it's cheaper just to do this delegated maintenance. Not too sure what that's all about. The other thing I like to do, and I don't know how it affects your credits or anything, is I like to keep my planes clean. So I will wash it every single time I fly it. It always shows up as dirty. Usually only costs a couple of $100 for the 172s, up to $1,000 or so for the bigger planes to wash it. I keep it clean. And then the other thing that Howard was talking about was this fuel thing. So the trick that I do is as I'm transitioning from landing to taxiing, I will go in here. I'll use my key, which is Alt F, to fill the plane up with fuel. And I didn't do that quite at the very end. I did it towards the end. Frequently, it'll be right up here at the top. And then you go in and you manage fuel. And if it's right up at the top, you can actually go right. But in this case, I got to go left. All around here, I go so I don't have enough fuel. I drop it here, and you'll see I get 3,600 credits for doing that. So frequently, as I say, particularly when you're starting out, like 3,000 credits out of 46 million, not really making me much value in doing that. But when you're starting out, it's really, really handy to get those 3,600 credits back. So I do that, I sell it. The only trick is you got to remember to refuel your plane when you're starting the engine and getting started, because on a couple of occasions I've been flying along and realized, why have I got no power in my engine anymore? And then I realized, I just ran out of fuel. So I'm now getting the habit every time, at the very latest, as I'm transitioning again from taxiing on to taking off, I'll go into external mode and make sure my flaps are at the right position and I've got a full tank of fuel. So that's one of the 2 cheats that I do, and then I'll show you the other one here.
So you're in the fuel selling business, Paul. I see that now.
I am. Yeah, and cheating with fueling my plane up, even though I'm not paying anybody to do it. The next step is you go into fly,
And so you guys, we're going to have Oz on voice video if he accepts my my Zoom invite, and he can come in near the end there, Paul, when we're doing Q&A, and he can offer some tips too. Because he's got to do a lot of typing right now, just to add some advice there. What a nice looking livery you got there.
You like that, eh? Okay.
We can
so
find you
this
if you go down
is-
in the field. If you go down in the forest, we can
Exactly.
find your color.
That's right. So here's the starting screen. Once you come in, the first thing you have to do, you're out of the plane. You got to take some of these pre-flight things taken care of. This is the one that if you do this Alt-N to skip it, you're not going to get dinged anything. So I recommend do it the first time. I actually happen to have an Xbox controller. I was amazed at what you could attach to this thing and get it to use as a controller. So I've got an Xbox controller and I just use that to walk up to the plane, and I'll just, once you get close enough, it'll change and you click on that and so on. You just do all of these. And so it's good to get familiar with where things are in the plane and how it reacts to it. And opening the door to go in, I realized, oops, I forgot to do something, so I got to go back out.
Was that intentional to show us?
Yes, yes. Because I didn't want to do all of them, because I, as I say, if I do an Alt-N, it's going to do all of them for me. And once you've done it 4 or 5 times, you don't want to be doing it. So this is the start, and that's basically, those are the 2 cheats that I say I recommend doing. Somebody mentioned early on that you may want to do a what's it called when you speed up the time?
Rate change.
Yeah, rate change. You can do rate
Sim rate,
change.
yeah.
Yes, you can sim rate. Yeah, you can do that. But the problem is, again, with your passive income, if you're making more money in your passive income than you are in your actual flight, that gets nuked when you do the sim rate change. Because if I'm now only an hour in the air for a 5-hour flight, well, now all of my passive incomes are also only flying for an hour. And so you lose all of that money. So I don't recommend doing it. I mean, if you don't care about the money and all you want to do is take off and land, then sure, do the sim rate thing. Although you've got to be careful with it, because it can, particularly if you're in autopilot mode, you can get your plane flying totally out of control if you're trying to do
You can porpoise for miles in sim rate mode, because the autopilot can't keep up to that sim rate, you guys. The autopilot's trying to compensate, and your plane's doing this all the way.
Yeah,
it's no fun. I guess that's only for people who are on a compressed timeline and they're trying to throw a 5-hour flight in, right?
I found if you 2 or 4 times, it's not too bad. But if you bump it up to like 8 times, then it autopilot just goes completely insane.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So, yeah, if you do it, only do it up to 2 to 3 times. I've seen are kind of the limit, and then otherwise, yeah, don't do anything else. So let me go into the companies. When you get into your companies, you want to take a look. This is an overview of how much money I've made, which hasn't been much in the last 7 days. If I go into all companies, I can see how much money each of them has made. So I've got a cargo company, I've got a flight seeing company, which is a X-Crafter little plane that's fun to fly around a little bit. Skyline, this is the banner towing company that I have, and then my VIP charters. So you'll take a look, and when I click on this, manage the company, you'll see how many airplanes I've got. So in this cargo one, I've got 3 different planes, different kinds,
3 good ones.
how much capacity. They are good ones, yeah. The PC-12 I've heard is a really good one, and the Cessna 408 is a great plane as well. So this is what I do to make some decent money off of my cargo flights. I like flying the 172 the most, but every once in a while I'll hop in one of these. And then, I'll do it in this company. My flight scene, I've only got 1 plane, so it's the X-Cub. Let me show you so this one's showing mandatory is 15 hours. Again, once Oz comes in and starts talking, he can maybe talk about this maintenance thing. If I click on that now and do a checkup, it's only 2,700 credits. And you'll see my landing gear needs maintaining. Now, if I click on this thing, it says to maintain it, it's going to be 23,000 credits. But if I do the delegated maintenance, it's only 12,000. I think if I click on this one, it's going to show up as new. But I don't know. It doesn't seem to make that much difference. So I just spend the 12,000 doing this.
Yeah, I find it's faster that way, Paul, the way you're doing it. I do the delegated also because I don't want to go through individual ones. But it's interesting how they do that, and they show the where and they show the cost and all that. It's kind of, I like the detail they give us. You really want to go there, right?
Yeah. One of the things I am going to show you too that I just noticed recently, I couldn't figure out why this plane that's in my hangar is filthy dirty. And I thought, oh, that's kind of weird. And then I realized when I go into my companies and I take a look at all my companies, and I find that in this case, for example, this plane, when I manage it, it's dirty. When I clean it, and I don't know what % of my planes I have to have clean, but now if I go back, it's still going to be dirty. But if I go back to my main menu and then come back into career mode,
and someone cleaned it while you were gone.
All of a sudden it's clean.
That's so nice. But quite honestly, Paul, I don't clean any of my planes. I got tired of cleaning them. And I said, I wonder what would happen if I don't clean them. Well, I think only the VIP missions, they complain if the plane is dirty or something like that.
That makes sense.
Which, again, the nitpicking cell phone user, high-end customers, snobby, high-strung, whatever, complainers, obviously Howard can't stand them. But, that's, it's like, oh, the plane is so dirty. Can this thing fly? So I just don't have any patience for that. It's like,
that's a good point.
I'll just take cargo and leave the plane dirty.
Yeah, that's good to know because I've been cleaning mine religiously, and it doesn't cost very much money to do it. But yeah, if you don't have to do it, then don't bother.
And you're not even in Florida. Like everything, every vehicle in Florida gets cleaned every day.
Yeah, really. All right, so here's my VIP charters company, and so you'll notice I've got 4 planes there. I've got 2 of the Vision Jets. I've got the Cessna Citation, and another PC-12.
PC-12, man, that's a moneymaker. Yeah. I have all those planes you're mentioning, but the PC-12 I got the most of. I must have 18 of them, for different missions,
That's crazy. Yeah. So I haven't really tried to optimize this. I've just discovered, holy cow, I've got all these planes that I'm not doing anything with, but they're still making me a ton of money. So it's great. And then I'll hop into one of them every once in a while and just fly a longer flight. If I say, oh yeah, I've got a few hours to fly, then
so have you shown everybody how to make them managed by others?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, that's a really good point, you guys, to make money.
Absolutely. So let me go. Let's say I want to create a company, the first thing I have to do is I have to create the company. These are the ones that I'm eligible to create because I've passed all of the certifications and done all of the qualifications. So I could create any one of those companies. And at this point, I've only got one of each. I don't know if there's any benefit to creating multiple companies of one type. But you'll notice down here, these are the ones that I don't have. And so it will say agricultural. I've got 0 of 2 specializations unlocked. Same with the passenger transport. This is the one that I tried to get. And so I'd have to take a look, and I'll go into this one and take a look at the specializations to see where it's at. This one, but it does say there's aircraft available for purchase in both of those 2. Here I have 0 of 2 specializations, and there's no aircraft available. Medevac, got aircraft, but 1 specialization I still need to go for. And aerial construction, that looks like a helicopter one that I'm
that's a fun one. That's hard to control. Let me say this: the strategy I have found, I think Oz told me originally, and others have said it. When you buy your first company, the first one you can afford is flight seeing, but it doesn't make you a lot of money. And you work so hard to get up there to finally buy a cargo company, and then you realize, if I could do this over again, I'd buy a cargo company first and just save up for it, and just not even do the flight seeing. Maybe later do flight seeing because it's fun, and but I would say cargo first. You guys save up for it.
Yeah, cargo's first because it's relatively inexpensive compared with the VIP, but it is going to give you a lot more money than most of the other cheap companies. Okay, so you create your company, and that's basically a 3-step process. You pay for it, and then you go back. Once you've got your company, now I can go into that company, and I can, again, click on all companies. I go into, let's say I want to, let's say, I want to try this. Oh, where's my, I'm trying to remember which is the parachuting one.
Skydiver.
Yeah. Skydive, yeah. Anyway, I guess I don't have a company to do that. So let's say that I want to do more cargo.
But you have millions. You could start a company.
I do. Oh, I could easily start it, yeah.
Come on, Paul, give a little, right?
Filthy rich.
Stop hoarding all that money.
So I've got this company. I want to buy another aircraft for it. So I click on this. This one's an interesting dilemma.
Right.
There's used versus brand new.
Yep.
Used is cheaper, but I found by the time you fix it, do everything that needs fixing.
I think Oz recommends brand new too. Yep. Yeah. I think Oz does that too.
Okay.
But he can afford to, right? At first, you can't afford to buy brand new. I think that's the difference. Once you got money like you have now, brand new makes sense, you know?
Yeah. And notice that now this marketplace, expand your aircraft choices, is now available as well.
That's beautiful.
So I go into brand new. I find a plane that I want. And so let's say I'm going to buy another PC-12. So it's 7.3 million. Fortunately, I happen to have plenty of money. I remember back in the days when I thought I'm never going to have 7 million available. And now it's that's nothing. I can buy 4 of them, 5 of them, 6 of them. So I want to buy this thing. It's brand new, so I don't have to worry about any damage to it. I pick the variant. That's pretty much basically everything that I need. Here's where the insurance comes in. So this is where you're going to say, this is what I want to put insurance into. When I'm starting out, you want insurance because you got very little money. If you crash, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. You're going to have to go back to being an employee to make enough money to buy the plane again, particularly if it's that first plane that was dirt cheap, and now you have to buy one at full price. So you want your premium insurance on that first plane. At least that's what I found. Once you're starting to make some decent money and you've got multiple planes, I do all of mine at basic.
Yep.
I don't think it's an option to not have any insurance. Right. So I do the basic insurance on everything. And I don't know whether I've even got premium on anything at this point, but if you do, you want it on your low-end plane. But I would go basic insurance on every plane you've got. Once you're starting to make these kinds of money, then you don't need to worry about insurance anymore. So the basic will do just fine. So I pick that, go to next. But now it says, where do you want to put it? And so in this particular case, I mean, I've got a bunch of stuff over here in North America. So I'm going to put this one in Europe so that I can start. And I'm going to place it. It's showing me, I think these, I think I can put it anywhere that there's an airport. I like to put it on the coast because one of the things I find, particularly with the 172, if I'm flying missions and I see these mountains with snow on them, I don't want to fly a mission that has to fly over those mountains because I know I'm going to struggle to get up the altitude I need. In this particular case, I guess it's not a big deal because it's a better plane. But I don't know. I'm going to pick, I don't know if that's part of Italy or wherever, but it's going to deliver it to me and bam, I'm ready to go purchase it.
You just bought a brand new plane just like that.
Delivered to where I asked it to. And now I've got an extra plane. So I think that is pretty much, let me just go back to my charts and make sure I've covered everything that I wanted to.
Passive income. Make sure your planes allow crew to fly. So if you go back to that plane you just bought now, it doesn't have crew ticked on it, so it will never make you income when you're not flying it, right?
Good point. Yep, that was what I was going to show. Yep. All companies back to, that was cargo. So you'll notice down here at the bottom of each plane, it says assigned pilot this one's off. This is the one I'm flying most of the time. I could put it on. So I just say assign pilot, click it so it's on. Ooh, yeah, there's the one I just bought. So I want to put this assign pilot off. That allows other people to fly my plane.
That's your passive income link right there, you guys. Let those planes make money when you're flying some other plane.
And that's it. All my other ones, it was on. I should double check. Go back and check, but I don't think there's any reason not to put it on once you've got 2 or 3.
Yeah, I don't know any reason why not to have it. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I guess because, you know, the only thing not to have it is, I guess, the wear and tear in the plane.
I was going
Right?
to say,
Crew can do bad landings. As a matter of fact, I did a bad landing once, and all my assigned planes did bad landings too. So I guess if you're a crappy pilot, then all the planes are going to have crappy pilots. I think that's how it works. So it's best to do some good flying, you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, then which would explain why all my landing gear seems to always be in
the
trouble.
landing gear needs. Yeah, in real life, do they really replace fixed gear, spring landing gear so often at such a price?
Yeah, really.
All the students bouncing planes around.
So yeah, that's a good point. And I do this. I go through about once a week. I'll just go through all my planes and manage them. Check how much time is left.
Oz actually goes to the world map to do his, and he just picks. You can see where each plane is. You just pick the plane and then maintain it. And he can go. He's got a lot of them, so he's got to have a better strategy.
Okay. Interesting. So you do that in the missions, Oz?
On the world map, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, there's your plane that you just put in. Not there at Gibraltar, but over to the right where you put your new plane.
Yeah.
And then you just click on the plane and then work it, right? Oh, look at that.
Cool.
It was there. Someone's moved your plane.
Oh, manager. Yeah.
There it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly another way to do it. Absolutely. Let's see what this thing is. This is probably a medevac. Anyway, yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. Look at that. I finished right on 7 o'clock.
Perfect.
I used to have...
We had half hour for demos and questions.
Yeah.
You and Charlie both have been doing timelines better than me. Mr. Experienced teacher here, and I can't get my timelines correct.
Yeah, when you're a high school teacher, you got it's an hour and 15 minutes and you haven't finished, the kids have gone. You're not going to get them back. But even at IBM, I used to have a nickname as all of my presentations, they'd call them the accordion pitches, because they would put me on at the end and I could either expand or contract them on the fly to fill the time that they needed.
They did that at FS Expo, and I expanded all right to the point where they cut off the cameras before I was done. So I guess they said, take your time. We're sorry you're on late, but take your time. As I took my time, and boom. It doesn't always work, right?
No, absolutely.
All right, so I want to just come over to my screen for a second and just show them, if I can. I didn't know if we'd have time for this, but I've got the helicopter I just bought, and I wanted to take it out for, test it first in free mode. This is the Hughes 500C by Togue's Hangar, and I wanted to just see what it would be like in crop spraying, just to see how it handles. So you can see it's got tanks on it. You can see how intricate it is for the detail on this aircraft, where you see the pump there and how they fill the tanks and everything. It's kind of cool how they've made these things. That the quality we have in the sim is so good now. Now I'm at the Jurassic Park, one of the Jurassic Park airports, just because it's got grass and I can go practice. So that's what I'm doing here, you guys, just for fun. And this is the way to practice anything. It can crash and burn. My controls might not be right. I can't. My spray button doesn't seem to work. Whatever is wrong, do it all here and ring it out. So now going into the tablet here, if you go to aircraft and you go to mass. Okay, it didn't go in the right spot here. Let's start from here. So if you go to aircraft and then you go to flight performance, and then you go to mass and balance, where you would look at your fuel also. In here, if it can do spray, you'll see the liquid like you saw in my presentation. And if you fill it up, it'll go green. Actually, it was green, and then now it seems to be blue. But anyway, it's filled up completely. I've got 144, whatever that is. Don't forget to load the aircraft. I filled it up before, and then I clicked my switch, and it still didn't spray. So now I'm just going to say load aircraft. And if you're on the ground, it's interesting with empty tanks and full tanks. When you're on the ground and you say load aircraft, all of a sudden it goes boosh. is like, whoa, it just got some weight that it didn't know it had, right? That's kind of cool. So anyway, you can leave it back on this screen when you're flying, because then it'll show you where you are, right? You can zoom in or out. Because I'm at the Jurassic Park Islands, it doesn't really know the geographical layout here, but it doesn't matter. I mean, now, one thing in career mode, if I were in career mode right now, as I spray the crops, if you zoom in, as you spray the crops, it'll show a yellow line of where the chemical is. So you can figure out where to actually keep spraying, and you'll see your outline in career mode. But right now, you won't see that kind of graphic because I'm just in free flight, and I'm just testing this helicopter. So I'll unpause it, grab my controls, and see if I can get it back to stable, and give you guys some audio on it. Oops, get my stick in order. And once you get control of your aircraft, let me give you some audio there. Very different sound than the R66. The R66 has 2 blades and it gives you that slap. This has more than 2 blades and it's got a smoother sound. So I'm just going to come around now and try and get some control of this. Real sharp turn. I'm going to do a strip right here. I've got my spray button ready. Get down nice and low. And this is where you practice. And it doesn't matter what your performance is like. Right about there, turn on my spray. You can see the shadow under the plane. Now, you shouldn't do this from the outside, but I'm saying do it from the outside to start. I'm a bit low there. I'm touching the grass. I'm going to come up a little higher. Once you do that, now switch over to, whoops, there I came all the way down, you guys. If I get back up in the air, turn my stuff off. And there was what I mean by I haven't flown this thing yet. And now I'm getting the hang of, wow, I had to get some more power there. But once you figure out what it should look like, I'll turn around from here. Then go to this mode and now try to figure it out from here. All right, so let's get down to that level. I won't start spraying yet, but just give you an idea how you practice before you do it in career mode. So there, I almost see my shadow there. I'm going to play it safe now and stay about this height. What does that look like from in here? Because this is what I'm going to have to do. All right, and then I'm going to say spray off here. I'm going to, whoa, get around those trees real quick. Shouldn't have done that. So, you just learn. There'll be trees in career mode. You got to watch out for the trees. Figure out your next path. Could even be the other side of the runway. Get down low again and on goes the spray. Make sure you got your controls so you don't have to look at them, right? I'm a little higher than I was last time. What does that look like from the inside? All right. And now you start getting more and more of the feel for inside. Actually, I'm gaining altitude here. And I look over at my altitude, my altimeter, and I see I'm about 150 feet. That's a bit too high for career mode. They want you down around 50 feet. So just work your way into it. You don't have to do it right away. Work it at a higher altitude first. Now I'm finished. I'll spray off, turn around, and come back again. Now I'm doing my turns really tight. You should do like left side of the field, way over to the right side of the field, way over to the center of the field. Like do bigger turns and not work your aircraft so hard. I've got to give it a lot of collective here so I don't hit the ground this time. All right, and then as I come around again, I see my shadow spray on. What does that look like? Looks like I'm a bit low. No, that looks good. I think that looks good. I'm at 100 feet above, according to my altimeter. And try to hold that. And then when you're finished, let's say we're at the end of the crop right here, spray off and come back around. Now what does it look like when you're coming around inside? And eventually stay inside. Certainly use outside view if you have to, you guys. But this is the real view. This is what real helicopter pilots work with. Now here, I have bushes that are higher. Spray on. And now I'm going to stay above that. The bushes or I'm going to get tangled in them. Here I'm about 100 feet, which is probably good for these trees. These could be like orange trees, right? You can see this is all we do for practice. And when you're done, or when your tank is empty, then you got to go back and land. So you got to have some of the basic skills of helicopters on you. Spray off, away I go, and now I'll go back and I'll land. I won't go through the whole thing now, but I'm going to go down to the end where and they told me to spray the runway because it's all dry. Okay, I'll do that too. There's a lot of dust here at Jurassic Park, right? So it's a lot of fun, you guys. I mean, look at this. We're actually doing it. Oops, I'm starting to gain altitude because I took my hand off the collective.
I'm just scrolling through the chat, and one of the things that Meyer Flyer pointed out was checking the destination airport before accepting the mission, which is a good point.
That's a great point. I love that point. Yep.
I hate flying into grass strips, that have you can't even see the airport or the runway. So now I try to go into bigger airports, and that definitely makes it a lot easier for sure.
So one of the things you can do, and Paul, you know this already, and so does Charlie, I think. I use Little Nav Map. I look at the mission. The mission always gives you a starting airport ICAO code and an ending airport ICAO code. I just put both of those into Little Nav Map. It shows me a direct link, whether it's a direct or not, doesn't matter. But the point is, it shows you on your profile, on the bottom of Little Nav Map, it shows you the mountains along the way. And that's very important, right?
Yeah. Yeah, true.
But Oz, I think even like Maddie is on, I think Maddie, if I remember, you're on Xbox, right? I think it's even more, it's important. They could just do it on a laptop. They don't have to do it connected to the sim. In Little Nav Map, as an example, you guys, I mean, here's Little Nav Map, and in its default view, I'll just come over to my screen here for a second, Paul, if you don't mind. Yeah. Just to emphasize the point, you guys. In the default view, you get to see this profile at the bottom. And if I were to map out whatever the mission is, and let's say the mission starts, I'll just pick some random stuff, you guys. We'll say the mission starts here. So I'll just say that. Oops. Wasn't ready for this. Hold on. New flight plan. There we go. The mission would start here, because there's mountains in here. I'm doing it intentionally. And that's our departure. And then let's just do something over here that's like that. And we'll say that in your mission, these are the two airports they give you. Now take a look at the bottom here, you guys. You'll notice that 6,000 feet, it still hits a mountain. Oh, now it just changed. It finally fine-tuned it. So right here at 6,000 feet, it still touches a mountain. So it's recommending 7,500 would clear everything. But even down here, you could step it down as you get further, down to 6,000. You could step it down here probably to 4,000 before you get to your destination. But look at that. I can tell that I'm going to hit something unless I'm flying at 7,500 feet or above. So I've already got it figured out now what I need to do when I do this mission in career mode. And also the destination airport, when you look at the destination airport, where is my flight plan? Up here. When you look at the destination airport, and you can also tell what the runway configuration is. I'm coming in from here, from the northeast. I know that I've got to do some type of circuit, either to 29, whatever ATC tells us, or I got to come around the other way, right? So, you know, that's something that Little Nav Map is invaluable. You sit and do this quick planning, start, ending, profile, target runway, and then move it out of the way and away you go, right? And then set your altitude and go. I think that would help in career mode.
Definitely.
You can add range rings and traffic patterns as well if you're using a Little Nav Map, which is quite
There's
useful.
Oz. How you doing, man? Everybody say hi to Oz. There's no video though. Yeah, you've got to.
Hang on.
Your webcam's not coming through.
Here's ugly me.
We want to see your face, you know. Good to see you. How's it going?
There he is.
There he is, the experienced career mode guy.
I've just realised I've doxed myself now. My secret identity is out, but that's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay. All of us have a name, right? So you've got probably the most experience of all of us. You've got millions and millions per flight. So how did you get there from here? And any other tips you want to convey on the topics we've been covering here?
Well, my experience is kind of deep in some areas, but not broad. So I haven't flown every type of mission, and I've gravitated towards certain others. But these days, I mainly fly 172, PC-12, and the 737 because they're the aircraft I like and the missions I like. But basically, the key to earning lots of money is passive income, without a doubt. The more planes you've got earning money, the quicker you're going to get into the billions. Into
the billions. Listen to you.
Yeah, I'm
billionaire career mode.
I'm on 9 billion at the moment, and I from what I'm following in the chat in the MS Discord, it seems that at the moment it won't let you go above all the nines. Like you can't actually hit 10 billion, but I'm about to find that out. So
wow, he's really hit the limit.
But yeah, look, I'm lucky. I'm retired. I don't have a job. I don't have a real life. I don't have kids, so I can fly anytime I like until Mrs. Odd starts throwing frying pans at me, and then I have to stop for a bit and pay attention to her.
That's funny.
So and all the I don't sim rate. I don't skip. Well, skip costs you money. Sim rate costs you time, and I don't want to do it that way anyway. I'd rather do it more realistically, but that doesn't suit everybody. So that's not a judgment on anybody who uses any technique to, in quotes, cheat. I mean, there's no competition here. It's not as if
we're not competing.
Leaderboard. No, that's right. So you fly the way you want to. As a high level view, I think the problems with career mode have got better with SU4.
Yeah.
They fixed up a lot of the niggly things that used to drive you mad, like moving hold short boxes when you land, like you turn into one, all of a sudden
You're
it's
absolutely
halfway
right.
up the
I forgot
runway,
about that. Yeah.
and you've got dinged for mooning off the runway.
So what he means, you guys, you'd see the box way up ahead. So you'd see the luminous box might be way up here by this marker. There's the box way up there. So, okay, I got to taxi way up to there. And as you're taxiing up to there, all of a sudden it's changed to behind you. All right, you look behind you, go, oh, and so you got to turn around, and now you get dinged for being off the runway. Like it's that kind of stuff, and you're just like, people are going, what is going on?
Yeah. And as Paul mentioned earlier, if it's spawning into hangars and things like that seem to have disappeared, and taxiing through trees that you can't get past, all that stuff. So a lot of that stuff's gone, but there are still a number of issues, more so with the ATC now, especially with airliners. The ATC does stupid things at times. It just stops working. Like the quick response won't respond when you press it, so you can't proceed to the next step. Sometimes you can get around that by using the ATC box, but it doesn't always work. So you're just literally stuck there and you can't progress any further. And things like that. So, and the other thing two other things happened. One I mentioned earlier in the chat. When you get, well, for me anyway, it might be with my system, I don't know. But once you get to a point where you've got a lot of the map opened up, and I have lots because I did a lot of fast travel. I've got entire continents with not a skerrick of space left uncovered. It shows, obviously that's good because it gives you more mission options. But the map gets very cluttered, and I'm finding moving around the map to try and find a mission is very difficult now because the map freezes.
Well, it's because you have so many missions, right?
Yeah, because it's got to reload. Every time you move, it's got to reload them all. So I find now that what I have to do is set the map up the same way as I do when I'm doing my maintenance, which is pick a specialization and an aircraft that don't match, where there are no missions for it, like 737 with search and rescue or something. That removes all the missions from the map. Then I navigate my way around the map, and I go to, and this is, I go to where one of my aircraft is. If I want to fly a 737, I'll click around and find one of my 737s. Then I zoom in until I can see the airport symbol. Then I'll switch back to the right combination for that flight, and I'll click on the airport and say show missions, because that will always show you a lot more missions that you can't see on the map anyway. It'll only show you one mission with a symbol for a given airport. If you zoom in, like for the 737, you'll get 20 or 30 different missions.
Wow.
At different values and times and so forth.
We haven't got to that stage, right, Charlie?
Yeah. Well, and
Paul?
that applies generally on the world map as well. The more you zoom in, the more missions will pop up. So be aware of that. But so that's one issue. It's very difficult to use the map now. And the other issue for me is chase plane, because I use chase plane because it's fantastic. The freedom it gives you with the cameras is awesome. Doesn't work in career mode. And what that means, if you're using chase plane wipes out all of your camera settings, which it needs to do. Well, it doesn't actually. It leaves a lot of them there, but you need to go in and wipe all those out yourself, which means now that if I want to fly career mode, I've got no camera settings. So I now have to build a career profile that I only use when I'm flying career for each plane.
Wow.
To give me some camera settings back.
That sounds like a lot of work, Oz. I don't know.
Yeah, it is, which is why I've ended up now. I'm just sticking to those 3 aircraft currently, and if I want to fly a new aircraft, I'm going to have to build another profile. You know, so it's made it a bit of a pain. But yeah, it certainly has got a lot better, but there's still a lot of improvement needed, I think. I mean, I wish I would give my firstborn if I could fly the PMDG 737 in career mode, because it's chalk and cheese with that 737 MAX. It doesn't behave very well most of the time.
So, Paul, do you have any questions for Oz with his experience? Your experience and his experience is quite a collection here in the stream today. So,
any questions from anybody here?
The only one that came to my mind as you were talking, and it may not be an option, but I've noticed there's sometimes like your plane, and I don't think I've got any here, but sometimes you'll have a plane right on top of a mission and you can't see what plane it is. Like if I go here and I click on it, it tells me, oh yeah, that's the Sky Courier. But if the plane, I'll go over to where I am, and if I don't know if my plane is still attached to me. There it is. No, it's not. But if the plane's attached to me or attached to a mission, I click on the plane and it doesn't show me what plane it is. Is there any way around that? Do you know?
Well, if you click on the plane, I'll find it always pops that box. You know, it pops the box up. Oh, like that, you mean? So that plane's disappeared now and you can't see. Yeah. Okay. So what you need to do there, just zoom out. That's your plane and your pilot, isn't it?
It should be, but actually it looks like I'm in a different...
Yeah, I can see your pilot symbol there. So I find this when I'm doing maintenance as well. I have to move my pilot away from that airport, and then you'll see the aircraft symbol.
How do you move? How do you move the pilot?
If you click on another airport now and fast travel to that, click on a nearby airport, travel to that airport, then your pilot symbol will move, and now the aircraft symbol will show up.
Okay. Smart. Okay, cool.
And sometimes, like if you've got, when I'm doing maintenance on the world map, if I've got 2 aircraft at the same airport, it's difficult to...
Yeah.
Sometimes you can fluke it and you can click once and it'll show one, and you can click again and it'll show the second one, but it doesn't always work. So sometimes I have to move an aircraft from one airport to another just to get it out of the way so I can see the one that's kind of hidden.
Okay. Interesting. Cool.
Most of us don't have that problem. So many airplanes, they block each other, but that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, we don't. Well, it's true, Charlie. Yeah.
I did have 500 aircraft at one stage, but it was taking me half a day to maintain the bloody things. So, sorry, not safe for workplace. So I cut back to 200. And I find
cut back to 200.
I can do the maintenance on the world map for 200 in 45 minutes. But I don't do the detail stuff. I just go through and I hit that big maintenance button and I accept whatever that is.
Yeah.
It costs more, but it saves a huge amount of time. And as I say, I think in the early stages before you start buying airliners, I was finding that my maintenance costs were somewhere around 20 to 30% of the money I had earned in that period through passive. As soon as I started adding the 737s in and other airliners and bigger planes, now it's jumped to anything between probably 50 and 60, sometimes as high as 70%. And I can, with those planes, I can take it to that 30 plus hours level. I find, and it doesn't seem to make much difference. Whereas, as you said, Paul, when you've got mainly small planes, yeah, you should maintain them before, at least at or slightly before that 25 hours maintenance comes up.
Yeah. Okay.
To get the best return.
Sure.
Once you get bigger planes, it seems to change a bit.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask about that because I have found, like, I can maintain my plane 5 or 6 times at 10 hours for way less than it costs to do it once at 25 hours.
Okay, right, yeah.
So it's definitely worth doing it more often.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Small planes.
It's the time factor. How much time do you want to spend doing maintenance against the money you're going to earn? Once you start to accumulate a large bank balance and a lot of passive income, it's not worth worrying about. It really isn't.
True. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, each time I do my maintenance now, on average, 30 hours flight, I'm earning about 1 billion credits in passive, but half of that goes in maintenance.
Sure.
So it's 1 step or 2 steps forward and 1 step back in terms of my bank. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So 500 million. Oh well.
Oh well. Half a billion, is that the net? It's like
half a billion.
Half a billion.
So I've got a quick question.
Oh, go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, I remember at one time you said you had sold 100 Cessna 172s and bought 20 PC-12s or something in exchange for them.
That was way back early in his career, Charlie.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
and I remember early on I was trying to see, okay, what's the best bang for the buck as far as airplane goes? And generally the passive income is sort of not necessarily exactly proportional to the cost of the airplane, but it grows as the cost of the airplane. But I guess, what is your thoughts about starting out? What's the most effective airplane for earning income? I always thought if you could get a bunch of Cessna 172s doing cargo at first, that's probably the best way to start.
You are right. Yeah. Per purchase cost dollar, the best bang for your buck with passive is the 172s. Yep. Without a doubt, even against 737s or anything. But the problem is that they're very, to earn a total amount of passive income, you got to have a lot, like my 500. So you can't maintain them; it's just impossible. Yep. You got to move up and get some. The PC-12s aren't bad. I did mean to mention there's some good resources on the MSFS Discord. They've got a channel for career mode, and there's a guy in there called Dark Star who is career mode fanatic, and he has pinned a couple of messages in that channel with full guides as to how to proceed through career mode in the best way, what's good, what's bad, lots of details about aircraft, lots of spreadsheets with like what they earn in relation to each other per dollar spent, per hour of maintenance and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I haven't got into that much detail, but if you want to really deep dive into it, he's done a lot of work there. Now, he keeps having to update it because every time they do a sim update, they change the earnings and the values and the ratios and that kind of thing. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a good. He's got some great stuff in there if you really want to do deep dive into career mode. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to address Maddie's question there. She says, I have finally turned on the career mode traffic yet. I still see no nameplates for other aircraft. So I know there's a check mark in our settings that say traffic in career mode, but I haven't tested that.
That's AI traffic, not multiplayer. You can't get multiplayer traffic.
So it's AI.
Multiplayer and
it's just AI traffic, I wonder why.
I turned it off, frankly, because I don't see much benefit in it. And it's a performance draw on your system as well.
And other planes would get in the way, Oz, right? They might.
That's right. Yeah, they can do. Yeah, they can do. Yeah.
So, Charlie, do you want to wrap it up and finish with any other questions and comments? Oz, I really appreciate you jumping in at last minute there. Hope you had a good breakfast. Where he is right now, you guys, we call him the future
Lovely
man because when we're doing these evening sessions, he's waking up and having breakfast. So thanks for taking time after your breakfast to join in and give us some tips on your experience.
Yeah, come on into January the 14th, guys. It's great. Dive in.
We're still alive. Planet's still alive.
Yeah, we are. We are.
It's good to know we're still good for tomorrow. Yeah.
Nobody's invaded anybody else yet, so we're good. We're good.
So Oz first appeared on our stream, you guys. He was actually the lead pilot, and we had a mugshot of him because at that time you didn't have a webcam working or something. So we did see his face at one point, way back in 2020. But now good to see you live and good to see you with a camera there, Oz.
I think I was shy back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Then you realize the crowd wants to hear what we want to say, right? Go ahead, Paul.
Just to give you a fair warning there, Oz, I'm about to do my 737 certification, so I'm on your tracks now.
So Paul, I want you to record that. I want you to record that. We want pictures.
Of what? Of me doing that flight?
Yeah, you're doing those kind of flights. Come on, we want to see it. Let's see it. Yeah.
No, I will. Yeah, it's from. I'm a little nervous because I don't know whether to stay in South Korea, but it starts in South Korea and kind of works its way north. Well, I'm just hoping it don't end up in North Korea and you won't.
Right. Yeah, it's heading in the wrong direction. Yeah. So XX Joker has a question there. He says, "How can you get the ground crew on career mode?" I mean, it's just all around us, right? All the Garys and Karens are all there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use pushback from the ATC and things like that. I don't know. Hang on, I'm just trying to think now. Yeah, you can call to board passengers, and the gate will come over and lock onto your aircraft. And that's another look. Be aware for problems on the 737. Paul, because like the simple one for me, I use the ATC to say I'm finished with boarding because you get prompted to start board. I use the ATC to say I'm now finished with boarding after the crew tell me everybody's aboard, and the gate thingo draws back, leaves the bloody door open. At times. And there's no way to close it. There is no way to close it. There's, because there's no EFB with all the doors in it and things like that. So you and if you continue, as soon as you push back, you failed the flight because you left the door open. So there's a few things like that are going to have you pulling your hair out. So.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah,
I think I'm going to get it and just leave it to other pilots.
Yeah, get some Valium or some alcohol. Either one.
Whoops.
I don't drink or take drugs, so I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I'm in trouble too. Yeah. So Paul, thank you very much for this presentation. It's been very informative and interesting, and I'm glad that chat has been involved in asking questions along the way. There certainly are a lot of questions in career mode of what they've tried to cover in this incredible section of our simulator. So, finishing comments from you, Paul, and anything else you want to mention?
I have an unrelated to career mode finishing comment, if I may. I wasn't able to jump in last week, but I did watch the VOD for last week's lesson, and I have to say, I thought it was superb. One of your best ever, guys. And I think the collaboration between you guys made it a lot more efficient and lightened the workload on you, Howard, so that you were able to get through stuff much more easily and do a lot more. So more power to that. I hope you guys are going to do a lot more of that collaboration.
Well, thanks for that. So you're absolutely right. It helps when everybody shares the load. That was actually Charlie's idea, and it worked out well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just to throw a piece of information about that one, Howard, it's been the Baron Pro has been on YouTube for 4 days.
Oh,
that's Friday.
You have 13,000 views.
13,000. Holy moly! Wow.
I'll go and watch it again later, so it'll be 13,001.
We'll see it go tick.
Yeah. What's the actual number? Well, that's amazing. That's subscribers. Well, it just says 13K.
Wow. Just in 4 days. Wow. And I released that at noon on Friday. Yeah.
No.
Wow.
So that's-
Well, it was 10,000.
See, Charlie, you're a star. Just like that, man. I had to just take a back seat and things went zoom. You know, there's a hint there.
It's your channel that draws them.
Nice job, you guys. Great job.
Congratulations.
And Paul, same with tonight. People like the
This
variety.
was a good lesson.
They like a different trainer. They like the variety of voices and the variety of screens too, Paul.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just that, like, the workload on you, Howard, when you do it all yourself must be. I could never do it. It's enormous.
Yep.
And I think
5 years.
having that extra help obviously makes it a lot easier for you. So well done, and there's no reflection on you at all.
I'm glad to have the help. That's for sure, because it definitely is taxing to go so in depth into airplanes and stuff. You know, so it's great that we have help like this and different points of view also, and some experience coming to the table.
I just got to show this. This is a result of that last flight where I couldn't land. I tried 5 times and then ended up
5 go-arounds,
crashing.
and then you crashed, and you still made passive
And
income.
still made almost $1 million.
The $1 million go-around.
Yeah, it does make you feel better about the failed mission.
It does. It does. Yeah, absolutely.
Look at the
Your
bank the next
reputation,
day.
his reputation is shot, but he's a millionaire.
Screw the reputation. Yeah. Show me the money.
That's it. Show me the money. What were you going to say, Andrew?
I was going to say that, Super Tag just pointed out that if you hover over the number of views, it gives you the actual number. So it's actually 13,083.
Wow.
And yesterday morning, it was 10. Today, it's 13.
Wow.
Holy moly. Holy moly.
It's amazing.
Oh, that's cool. And Strap made it back.
Okay, I'm back.
He
Please
managed
start
to get
over.
everybody out the door. I'm sure you all have to go home now. And then I got a stream to go to. Strap, thanks for joining back in again, but we're done now. and anyway, guys, I really appreciate all the work, especially you, Paul. You've worked hard at this for a couple of weeks and brought it to us and figured out what points are valid. And that's the teacher in you coming through. You can tell you've got experience at the college level for teaching. And I really appreciate that, and I can see all those signs, so it's really cool.
Yep, good lesson. Thanks.
We busted our chops back in the IBM days, Paul and I both. We didn't even know each other back then, but we were in the same division, and we've had to stand in front of a lot of people back in the day all the way up to now. So it shows, Paul, so thanks for that. I really appreciate it.
Yep. My pleasure. Thank you. It was an honor and a lot of fun to be able to do this. So I'm glad it worked out.
Always a lot of fun. And we don't know how many people we've touched on this. We don't know how many people have learned something. That's the thing about these kind of sessions. Different than a normal classroom, Paul. When we're used to seeing faces, we can tell if they're getting it. You can tell if they're actually paying attention. Here, you never know. And yet, once in a while, like when we go to FS Expo, we hear someone say, I followed everything, I've done it, I love what this is, I learned that. And you find out once you're in front of people what this is actually doing for people. So that we'll hear that when we get to Expo, Paul. That's cool.
Yes.
I prepared the overlay, but I didn't prepare any new credits, which I said I would do. I haven't had time, so I got to get at it tomorrow and change the credits. I had a whole bunch of career mode pictures to put up as a credits slideshow, and I never got to it. So sorry, Paul. I got the overlays done, but I never got to the credits thing.
No worries at all. It looked great.
We'll see you Thursday, you guys. We're actually going to do a landing on the Hudson to celebrate 5 years of Scully on the Hudson, and we're also going to be flying the paramotor from Fly and Dive because that's something that we should practice before we do it on Friday. Friday we're going to be doing it on the MSFS official channel, so we want to be good at it, And so that'll happen on Thursday. I'm also going to show you guys missions in Say Intentions, just so those who still swear by, I'm never going near career mode, I don't have that kind of patience. Let's show you how you can practice missions in Say Intentions, at least to get some taste of it. All right, not the same variety, but you're going to actually appreciate it. And we'll show you what that's all about. All right, we'll see you later, guys. Have a good one, and we'll see you in the skies, right?
Good to talk to you all again. See you guys. See ya.
Good to see you, Oz.
Take care, everybody.
Take care, everyone. See you Thursday.
Fly with Forder where the knowledge flows, through the winds of wisdom where the passion shows. He's the captain of kindness, the teacher we need, helping every simmer take off and succeed. He speaks in calm tone, steady, clear, breaking down the lessons